one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would you please remain standing for a moment of silence to remember all of the men and women who are fighting for our freedom. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Sue.
You're welcome.
Okay, for the record, all town board members are present with us this evening. This is our town clerk, Ann Spofford, right here. Our town recreation director, Jimmy Gilchrist, has an item on the agenda. Town councils, Greg Fulchetti and Joe Charbonneau, are over there at that table. And we have quite a few of our police officers here tonight for the swearing-in ceremony of one of their officers. So at 6:30 p.m., the town board met in executive session. Was a personnel item to interview in the very near future to promote that officer to detective. So at this time, I'm going to ask for a motion to open the voting meeting.
So moved.
So moved by Councilwoman McDonough.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Shannell. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so the town board voting meeting is open, and the first item is to accept the town board minutes of July 8th, 2020. I need a motion to accept those.
So moved.
Second.
So moved by Councilman Lombardi, seconded by Councilwoman McDonough. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so the first resolution on the agenda tonight is making a probationary promotional appointment of sergeant for the Town of Carmel Police Department, and that's for Police Officer Neil Brown. And Councilman Shannell, would you please read resolution number 1?
Resolved that the town board of the town of Carmel, acting as commissioners of the police department, hereby appoints Police Officer Neil Brown to the position of sergeant, effective immediately on a probationary basis, subject to the provisions of civil service law and civil service rules and regulations. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Okay, and I'll second that too. So the entire board seconded that. Councilman Borelli, I'm sure, would second that. Roll call vote?
Yes, with pleasure.
Yes. Aye.
Yes, with pleasure.
Yes. Motion carried with pleasure. Thank you. Police Officer Neil Brown, congratulations. You're now Sergeant Brown. All right, so a little bit about Sergeant Brown. He's been employed by the Town of Carmel Police Department since July of 2006. So he has 14 years of experience as a police officer, and he's done an excellent job in that capacity. He's one of our field training officers. The field training officers, they train new hires, new officers that graduated from the academy. They go on to field training here in Carmel, and Sergeant Brown was one of the training officers. Sergeant Brown is also a veteran of the United States Army. He served in the United States Army National Guard. He was from March 2000 to March 2006. U.S. Army MP, activated February 2003 to May of 2004 to support the global war on terror in Iraq. So thank you for your service also, Sergeant Brown. He attended college, and his studies were with criminal justice and business administration. He has numerous training certificates since being a Carmel police officer. There's numerous and too many to mention, but he's got quite a few. And awards, he has a life-saving award in January of 2007. He's got excellent police duty awards, and he's got a meritorious police duty award for November of 2016, and he's got a letter of commendation from Putnam County Sheriff in 2016. So Sergeant Brown is extremely active. He takes his job seriously as a police officer for Carmel, and I had the privilege and working alongside of Police Officer Brown, or now Sergeant Brown, for a couple of years when I was on the Carmel PD, and I can attest to the fact that he's a very strong and dedicated officer and committed to law enforcement here in the town of Carmel. So we're very fortunate to have Sergeant Brown here on our police force, and congratulate you once again. But Neil, I do have to swear you in, so come on up to the podium with whoever's going to hold the Bible.
And the little kids. Oh my God, they're so cute.
And you got somebody taking pictures? John, is anybody taking pictures? No.
I'll take them for you. I'll send it to you.
Oh, okay. All
No, I got it. Hold on. I got it. I'll take a picture.
Yeah. Hold your left hand on the Bible. Raise your right hand. Repeat after me. Okay. I'll do my best. I, Neil Brown, do solemnly swear
I, Neil Brown, do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of
the appointed position of Sergeant in the Carmel Police Department,
the appointed position of Sergeant in the Carmel Police Department
and for the town of Carmel,
and for the town of Carmel,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Get a picture with all the little kids and the guys. Get a picture with all of you.
Yeah.
My guys.
All right. Congratulations. Congratulations. Well deserved. Great son. It's official.
It's official. Thank you.
Ann's got it.
Thank you.
All right, Neil, best of luck.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah. Congrats.
Congrats.
All right. Okay, moving on to resolution number 2 is a resolution setting adjusted salary for fiscal year 2020 in the engineering department. Councilwoman McDonough, would you read 2, please?
Yes. Resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel hereby sets the adjusted salary for fiscal year 2020 for the following employee of the town not covered under the terms of a collective bargaining agreement in the amount as follows. Town engineer, $138,000. Be further resolved that this resolution shall take effect immediately. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Okay, seconded by Councilman Lombardi. Roll call vote?
Yes.
Yes. Aye.
Yes.
Yes. Motion carried. Thank you. Okay, next resolution number 3 is a resolution accepting an annual financial report of the town's independent auditor for fiscal year 2019. Councilman Lombardi, would you read 3?
Sure. Resolve the Town Board of Town of Carmel hereby accepts the comprehensive financial independent audit report of the town's independent auditor, PKF O'Connor Davies, for fiscal year 2019, and hereby directs Town Clerk Ann Spofford to publish all notices required in connection in the official newspaper of the town. I offer the resolution as read.
Second.
Okay, seconded by Councilman Borelli. Roll call vote?
Yes.
Yes. Aye.
Yes.
Yes. Motion carried. Okay, next resolution number 4 is a resolution authorizing additions to the active list of the Mahopac Volunteer Fire Department. Councilman Borelli, would you read 4?
Resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel hereby authorize the addition of the following names to the active list of the Mahopac Volunteer Fire Department. My apologies if I don't get this correct. Nathia J. Thomas and John A. Scalabrini. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Seconded by Councilwoman McDonough. Roll call vote?
Yes.
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Yes, motion carried. And I'd like to thank these 2 residents that volunteered to be members of the Mahopac Volunteer Fire Department. Thank you for their service and appreciate that. The volunteers, so anytime you have somebody from the community volunteering, especially with EMS and as a first responder, I give them a lot of credit, so thank you for that. Thank you for serving. Okay, next resolution, number 5, is a resolution accepting a donation of sick time and/or vacation time by Town of Carmel Highway employees. Councilman Shannon, would you read 5?
Resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel approves the donation of 80 hours of vacation time accruals from employee number 1699 to employee number 2791. I offer this resolution as read.
Second?
Okay, seconded by Councilwoman McDonough. Roll call vote?
Yes.
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Yes, motion carried. Thank you. Okay, next resolution, number 6, is a resolution accepting a grant award and authorizing execution of the participation agreement for the East of Hudson Water. Hey, Greg, question for you. So 6, 7, 8, and 9 are the same, right? Pretty much the same grant? But
It's the same source
the
of grant.
locations are different, right?
Right, for different studies, same source of grant, but there does have to be a separate authorizing resolution
It
for
does?
each participation agreement.
So
So
we
you
have
can
to
move
read
them
it?
all together if you want, but you can, there are all the NIWPCC grants,
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
can just move them as, like Gilead in the amount of $375,000,
Right.
Lakeview Road at $300,000. You pass them that way,
Okay,
if you'd like,
all right.
but they do need a separate
Susan?
reso for the participation.
So,
I'll
Susie,
try to
when
do that.
When you read the one,
Yep.
so then just,
I'm just going to do a comma, like Lake
Right.
Cassie in the amount of up to, then Lake Gilead in the amount of
Amount
up
of
to,
up to, and then-
Lakeview Road in the amount of up to,
and
Mud
Lakeview,
Pond,
right. And
Okay.
that'll cover them all. Oh, you got one more, number 9?
through 9.
So that one's for
Yep.
425,000.
Yep, okay,
You want to do that?
Sure.
Greg, is that acceptable?
fine.
Okay,
As long as you mention each one of them before the vote and the amount.
okay.
I will.
All right, Susie, go ahead.
Got it. Whereas the Town of Carmel has been approved for the New England Interstate Water Pollution Control Commission, New York City Department of Environmental Protection, NEIWPCC/NYC-DEP, grants as part of the East of Hudson Community Wastewater Planning Assistant Grant Program. Now therefore be resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel hereby accepts the proposed grant for the following studies of Lake Cassie in the amount of up to $300,000, the study of Lake Gilead in the amount of up to $375,000, for the study of Lakeview Road in the amount of up to $300,000, and for the study of Mud Pond Brook in an amount of up to $425,000. And be it further resolved, the town supervisor, Kenneth Schmidt, is hereby authorized to execute the participation agreement as tendered by NEIWPCC/NYC-DEP with respect to such grant award for Lake Cassie, Lake Gilead, Lakeview Road, and Mud Pond. Said agreement being in general form and substance is on file in the office of the town engineer. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Okay,
Is that good?
all right. So it was offered by Councilwoman McDonough, seconded by Councilman Lombardi. Roll call vote?
Councilman Shennel.
Yes.
Councilman Borelli.
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Councilwoman McDonough.
Yes.
Supervisor Schmidt.
Yes, motion carried. Okay, so next resolution then, we're going to go on to number 10, and it's a resolution authorizing emergency repairs, purchase and installation of equipment for Carmel Sewer District Number 2, Willow Road Pump Station. Councilman Lombardi, would you read 10, please?
Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Carmel, acting as Commissioners of Carmel Sewer District Number 2, and upon the recommendation of Town Engineer Richard J. Franzetti, P.E., hereby authorizes the emergency purchase and installation of 2 pumps at Carmel Sewer District Number 2, Willow Road Pump Station by CSD Number 2 operators Inframark LLC Water Treatment Plant at a cost not to exceed $14,686.20, including installation. And be it further resolved, Town Controller Mary Ann Maxwell is hereby authorized to make any and all necessary budget transfers or modifications required to fund the cost of this authorization. I offer the resolution as read.
Second?
Okay, seconded by Councilwoman McDonough and Councilman Borelli. Roll call vote?
Councilman Shennel.
Yes.
Councilman Borelli.
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Councilwoman McDonough.
Yes.
Supervisor Schmidt.
Yes, motion carried. Thank you. Okay, next resolution, number 11, is a resolution authorizing emergency purchase and installation of equipment, Carmel Water District Number 2 Water Treatment Plant. Councilman Borelli, would you read 11, please?
Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Carmel, acting as Commissioners of Carmel Water District Number 2, and upon the recommendation of Town Engineer Richard J. Franzetti, hereby authorizes the emergency purchase and installation of a replacement high-lift pump at the Carmel Water District 2 treatment plant by SB Church, Oxford, Connecticut, at a cost not to exceed $35,900 in accordance with the quotation proposal dated July 15, 2020. Be it further resolved that upon presentation of insurance certificates in form acceptable to Town of Carmel, Town Supervisor Kenneth Schmidt is authorized to sign any and all documentation required to accept said proposal as authorized herein. Be it further resolved that Town Comptroller Mary Ann Maxwell is hereby authorized to make any and all necessary budget transfers or modifications required to fund the cost of this authorization. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Okay, seconded by Councilman Lombardi. Roll call vote.
Councilman Channel.
Yes.
Councilman Borelli.
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Councilwoman McDonough.
Yes.
Supervisor Schmidt.
Yes, motion carried. Okay, next resolution, number 12, is a resolution acknowledging performance of emergency repairs, Carmel Water District number 7. Councilman Shannon, would you read 7, please?
Resolve the Town
I'm
Board.
sorry, 12.
Resolve the Town Board of the Town of Carmel, acting as commissioners of the various water districts of the Town of Carmel, hereby acknowledges the emergency performance of water district collection system/distribution system and treatment facility repairs, specifically those performed in Carmel Water District Number 7, as fully detained in the memorandum of Town Engineer Richard J. Franzetti, P.E., to the Town Board dated July 15, 2020, which is attached hereto and made a part thereof. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Seconded by Councilwoman McDonough. Roll call vote.
Councilman Channel.
Yes.
Councilman Borelli.
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Councilwoman McDonough.
Yes.
Supervisor Schmidt.
Yes, motion carried. And the 13th and final resolution this evening is a resolution authorizing request for proposal, Carmel Water District Number 2. It's the treatment plant design. Councilwoman McDonough, would you read 13, please?
Shall resolve that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel, acting as Commissioners of Carmel Water District Number 2, hereby authorizes Town Engineer Richard J. Franzetti, P.E., to circulate proposals for engineering services for the design, preparation of bid documentation, and construction administration services for the Carmel Water District Number 2 treatment plant. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Okay, seconded by Councilman Shannon. Roll call vote.
Councilman Channel.
Yes.
Councilman Borelli.
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Councilwoman McDonough.
Yes.
Supervisor Schmidt.
Yes, motion carried. Thanks. Okay, so that completes the Town Board voting meeting agenda items for this evening. Is there any residents here that would like to come up and comment on the agenda items that we covered this evening? Just the agenda items? Yes, sir. Come on.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good
Nice
evening.
to see you all again.
Good to see you.
I wasn't here for the actual resolution. And again, I want to preface this by saying this has nothing to do with the individual involved. But on number 2, we were adjusting the salary for fiscal year 2020 in the engineering department. And I think that got adjusted to $138,000 and change. And I saw on the 2020 adopted budget, that amount was $122,247. And again, this has nothing to do with Rich. It has to do more from a conceptual point of view. And so the question is, there's a couple of questions. I don't understand the timing. Why is this happening now? Why didn't this happen back in the budget phase? That's the first question.
Okay.
Second one is, and this is kind of a broader question, is from a salary perspective, where do these numbers come from? I mean, how does it all evolve? What's the process? Where does it start?
Sure.
This is, according to my very bad mathematics, 11.5% increase in salary. The optics, given the circumstances under which we've been, experiencing for the last 6 to 7 months, of increasing salaries, number one, conceptually just increases, is kind of counterintuitive. I work in a company with 12,000 employees where we've all taken 4% reductions in salaries so people don't get laid off and furloughed. And now we're increasing, not only an increase conceptually, but a huge increase. So I guess, so to run it down is, number one, why now? Why wasn't this part of the budget process? Number two, where do these numbers, how are they established? And number three, isn't it really, again, sort of, and bear with me with my terminology, kind of really obnoxious to present these type of increases for, town staff members in the environment, the economic and financial environment in which we all find ourselves?
Sure. All right, so let me start with question number one, John. So the reason it wasn't considered as part of the budget process for last year, which we began in August of 2019, that's when I begin the budget process, goes through September, October, it's adopted in November. At the time, we had a consulting engineer helping Rich in the engineering department. I think you know that, right?
I do.
Okay, so there were two engineers in the Town of Carmel Engineering Department. One was the full-time in-house engineer, which Rich Franzetti is, and the consulting engineer was John Fulchetti. John, so when the budget was adopted, the consulting engineer's salary or compensation was included in the budget for 2019. So it was part of the budget, which was $120,000. So shortly thereafter, when the budget was adopted, the consulting engineer resigned his position. So we no longer had two engineers working out of the engineering department or doing work that's assigned to the engineering department. So Rich was essentially, and he's been essentially running that engineering department on his own since January 1 of 2020. So he's been doing a great job with it. So that's why it wasn't included or wasn't part of, because it wasn't thought about. His salary adjustment wasn't even considered or thought about until within the last month or so. And it was brought to the town board by the engineer who on his own did a compensation analysis from other towns, municipalities that have engineers. And what we found and what Rich found and what Rich brought to the board was that he was underpaid by quite a bit for an engineer that has a stamp that's certified to approve plans, that runs 8 sewer districts and 13 water districts for the town, or oversees them. We have operators, but he oversees the operation of them. So he does handle a lot of engineering tasks, and he has a lot of responsibility for the town. And when we met with Rich, and Rich laid out his rationale as to why he feels his salary should be adjusted, we agreed with him. So the salary was increased from 122,000, I believe it was,
Something.
Yes,
yeah, to 138,000.
yes.
Right, but that's par with what other towns and municipalities this size of Carmel, and with infrastructure the size of Carmel, that's what they're making. That's what their salaries
That's on the
are.
low end.
He's actually lower.
That's the low end.
It's actually lower.
At the low end.
It's on the
That's
low
not
end,
the,
but
that's
good.
not the
Thank you.
average.
Right.
Right.
So we felt it was justified, and so I hope I answered 1 and 2.
Yeah, you got them all.
I got them all?
Got 'em all.
And
Okay.
you know what? Those answers make absolute perfect sense to me. It's absolutely logical. I get it. Makes sense in every way, shape, or form. But not to be, Donnie Downer. It also says to me that the $120,000 that we were spending on the, independent engineering firm was money that was wasted. Because now we just spent, I don't know, whatever it is, $18,000 or $20,000 to properly compensate the town engineer to do the same sort of work that was being done for $120,000 a year. And I know that you disagreed with that, and you wouldn't sign the checks, and I think that's a lesson learned. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome, John. Thank you. Is there anyone else here for questions on the agenda items that we just covered? All right, there being none, so we're going to go into the open forum portion of the meeting. This is new business, so you can come up to the podium, and I just need you to state your name, and you could then, make your comment or and if you have any questions for the board, but this is the portion where we would do that. So it's new business, so would you like to come up, sir? Yes. All right, come on up to the podium.
My name is Rob Cavallaro, and I live at 49 Walton Drive in Mapac. I moved up here from New Rochelle almost 5 years ago with my family, with my wife and 2 small children. We wanted to get away from downtown New Rochelle, so we found our forever home at the end of Walton Drive. We found God's country. It seemed to be an ideal place to raise 2 little girls and keep them away from danger. But that won't be the case come this September. Unfortunately, our world has been shaken and literally turned upside down. I come before you tonight along with my fellow residents from my neighborhood in solidarity and in protest of a large 140-foot.
Please show respect.
Sorry.
Thank you. Go ahead, Rob.
I come before you tonight along with fellow residents from my neighborhood in solidarity and in protest of a large 140-foot monopole 5G cell tower that will be placed directly in front of our homes on the tail end of the Maple Hill Estates property. This topic has been butchered in the last year and a half as other potential sites in the area were denied cell towers due to public outcry and legal proceedings. The biggest difference between putting a cell phone tower directly in front of my home and the other 2 denied locations is that those neighborhoods had a voice, but our neighborhood did not. The town of Carmel did not notify the residents of this community. The town of Carmel sent a notification letter to a handful of us on Walton Drive explaining to us that the cell tower was going up as a settlement outside of court. It was almost as if they had enough of this cell tower talk and just settled as they tried to fly under the radar without acknowledging the many homes directly behind the Maple Hill Estates. There are 3 proposed sites on the Maple Hill Estates. The Maple Hill Estates voted yes for the tower to gain profits from our expense. They thought that the best spot in front of our homes on Walton Drive. If Maple Hill Estates wants this death tower, then they should put it directly in the middle of their 80 homes, 20 acres away from ours. The town of Carmel was negligent in doing their proper due diligence before settling this matter outside of court. Did you think that putting a tower in front of our homes was acceptable? Do you want the tower in front of your homes? These are our elected officials. These are the people that we entrust to look out for the welfare of their tax-paying residents. The town officials have failed us, and we, the tax-paying families of this community, will take matters into our own hands. You will not turn our world upside down by putting this tower feet from our doorsteps. Cell towers do not belong in residential neighborhoods. How could the town of Carmel not see this coming? 2 other communities denied them due to public outcry and perseverance. Did you think for 1 second we were just going to stay quiet while our properties lose value as taxes increase? While we get cancer and die? Is that what you settled for? Did you know that where the proposed tower site was never supposed to be built on, as per homeowners who specifically told us when they purchased their homes years ago? Did you know many trees Homeland Towers will be removing directly in front of our homes have an abundance of nests for birds of prey? Last time I checked, birds of prey in New York were protected. Did you know there is no turnaround at the end of Walton Drive? Where's all the construction trucks going to go? How are they going to navigate such a large operation on such a tiny street? How can they avoid backing out without creeping onto our lawns and driveways, or potentially harming our children who play outside? Did you know homes on Walton Drive are being listed on the market for sale due to the cell tower, and that home buyers are offering significantly lower than fair market value due to the cell tower? Potential buyers are actually already walking away from these deals once they find out the cell tower is coming into our neighborhood. And I have a variety of people in this room right now that can attest to that. Good working tax-paying families are leaving the community because of this. Moving for us and most other families on Walton Drive would not be an option, as it would be financially devastating. Did the town of Carmel take any of this into consideration before settling? It seems the answer to the question is no, they did not. I've got news for you. Those construction vehicles that will use our road for construction will have to drive over my dead body before they start. And still, with all this frustration, anger, sleepless nights, and mounting stress due to this, I would never, ever wish this on you, your families, and/or your neighbors. We demand a resolution immediately. Construction companies are already flooding the site with bids for the project, and they think they're going to start in September. Town of Carmel, do not let us down.
Okay, thank you, thank you. All right, is there anybody else that would like to speak? Come on up at this time.
My name is Jason Gandolfo. I also live on Walton Drive. I'm here before you today to address a crime that destroyed a community. I'm here to address the fallout of that corruption. I'm here to tell you that we are united and we will be relentless in our cause. You believe you have won this battle. You are very wrong. Frank Lombardi, you started a trash fire that you thought you would get away with. You were wrong. You made a backroom deal with the very corporation, Homeland Towers, that used their power and money to cause massive harm to this town. And you got into bed with them. You got into bed with them, and not only did you inform the people who own the surrounding homes in Walton Drive, us, you also didn't inform the residents of Maple Hills Estate condos, as we discovered while talking to the residents of the condos.
Sir, can I just stop you for a moment? You really shouldn't be singling out one town board member. There's 5 town board members, and we were all responsible.
The reason I'm singling him out is because he's on 2 boards. He's on there. He voted. You're not on the condos estates?
No way am I on that board.
So who pushed through that? Because maybe we're getting wrong information.
Yeah, so if you finish speaking, I'll be more than happy to respond respectfully.
Please.
Well-
Yeah. No, let him finish.
All right, yeah, just, you can finish, but please, don't single out any one board member. I'd appreciate that.
Because maybe that's a little bit of the confusion that you might be feeling. I don't sit on any board. I'm one out of, I just live there. I'm
So
not
who is
board.
on the board that voted that through?
Can I be honest with you? I don't even know the entire board who lives there.
You're saying right now you don't know the board that lives there.
I know one person who lives in my little section who's on the board. I couldn't identify, even if they walked right in front of me, who the other board members were. They've been board members going on years. I've never met them. I've never attended a meeting. I've never been I've never been to any meeting of theirs. They have meetings, I think, at someone's home monthly, where we get minutes from. And they also have once a year, they have a meeting at Lakeview for the entire, for the entire association. I've never attended. So if somebody's given you that information,
More than one.
well, listen, it's very simple to find out. Just either contact the management company or contact the board. You will not see my name on.
I will.
Please do.
Believe that. I will.
Please do, because there's no reason for me to lie to you. So if
please let me-
somebody's told
okay.
you that, they're incorrect. They're incorrect.
So to continue what I'm saying, you've caused unfathomable damage to every family in the surrounding neighborhoods.
No, sir, you're saying are you singling, I don't want you singling out any one board member. If you're saying
Council,
are you
council,
addressing-
okay, I'll change it, council. If you all want to take the
Fair-
blame, council.
Fair enough.
Council have all caused unfathomable damage to every family in the surrounding neighborhoods of Walton Drive. My own family is devastated. For too long, we in the United States have let little men in vapid titles ram through unethical policies and laws while hiding behind government force to protect you from the very people you screwed. I'm here to tell you, the council, that you made the biggest blunder of your political careers. Mark my words, by the time this, Mark my words, by the time this circus is over, this council will be synonymous with scandal in New York. Forget about Mayapack and Putnam County. We are now on a mission. Enjoy your 30 pieces of silver.
name's Todd McCormick. I'm also here to address the cell tower issue. I live at 43 Walton, right across the street. I just had some questions. So one of them, thank you, you answered, Frank.
Sure.
Just wondering I know the latest, what the status was that this was going to be sent over to the town lawyers and that they were going to have discussions with the Homeland Towers lawyer. What's the update on that?
You want to give an update on that, Greg?
As I spoke before the meeting, the board has asked council to reach out to Homeland regarding the concerns of the Walton Drive residents in that neighborhood. There's been communications with Homeland regarding the possibility of some modification of the settlement agreement that was so ordered in the district court. That communication was at least through Tuesday of this week. There's been nothing resolved, but it's an ongoing process. And I know that the board members are making an effort to try and address the concerns that the residents have raised. But there's been nothing determined, commitment one way or the other. And there's been nothing that's been taken off the table either. Okay?
We were already lied to about building permits. So what's going on? We were already told that there was no building permits, and now we found out it was a month ago.
I'm
sorry.
Let your neighbor speak.
No, yeah, that was another question I had. I know when we spoke that day on the street that I think we spoke with the, yeah. And I think you had said that one of the permits had just been submitted but wasn't approved?
No, I had mentioned that the building permits were just picked up a couple days before from Homeland Towers.
Oh, okay.
That's what I think I remember.
So they were approved at that time when we spoke to you?
They were handed out, they came and picked them up.
And then, knowing that, and then, I know, so we're pretty much nowhere then as far as the discussions, but what's the time frame then? So at this point, we don't really have any solid discussions with Homeland Towers, and the permits are approved, so at this point, is it pretty much the work's going to begin?
No, I wouldn't say
Okay.
that. Well, I will tell you, I spent 40 minutes on the phone with the president of Homeland Towers,
Okay.
Manny Vincente. We had a good conversation. It was very cordial, very pleasant. I conveyed the concerns to him. Now, he's the president of Homeland Towers. I conveyed the residents' concerns, and to be quite honest with you, personally, my concerns.
Appreciate it.
About the location of the tower. And he told me he would get back to the town, he would reach out to his consultants, to his team, and see if there's anything at all they would consider doing.
Okay.
You know, with respect to relocating the tower to another site. And I had mentioned Site 2, which is 120 feet further away from the current site. So I had that conversation with him.
Okay.
And I was very sincere, and I was very honest with him, you know, what I felt, you know, would be a way where, you know, we could find some middle ground here and perhaps some good faith, you know, on their end.
Yeah.
And that's where we left off. Told me he was going to get back. I haven't heard back from him, and this was on, Greg, Monday? It's Monday. Monday, yeah. So we are trying. I am trying. This board is trying, right? Because I kept them in the loop. They were well aware of my discussions with Homeland. And so I hear you. All right, I hear all of you, all right? And I share your concerns. And, you know, we're doing what we can, and to be quite honest with you,
Appreciate it.
I'm doing what I can do. And I know the rest of the board feels the same way I do.
We know. Now, I'm just wondering, having said that, you know, and all the facts that we were just talking about, do you think there's a chance, I mean, is it like a 50-50 thing where we're just kind of waiting at this point to see what they decide?
Yeah, well, as far as my discussions with the president of Homeland, I'm waiting to hear back from them.
Do you have
That's
a
where
gut
it's at
feeling
right
on that?
There was really no time frame given. He said he would get back to me.
Okay.
So this was Tuesday, I believe.
Oh, okay.
So I'm waiting to hear back from them.
So there's a chance that they could just show up on the street and start work without getting, do you think they'll get back to you before they do that?
Oh, yeah,
okay.
yeah, I'm quite certain they probably will, yeah.
So you said the second site, is that 100, you said it was how many
It's
feet?
120 feet away from Site 1, which
The
is...
center of that site, or like
It's 120 feet. I would put it probably
okay.
northwest of there, so it's, you know,
And then the
You're
big...
you're on the east side of the Maple Hill condo parcel.
Yes.
So it would be west of there.
Okay. And then the big thing for me, the last question was, if it does, hopefully it does get moved to this far of the site, where would they access that site from? Would it be from Maple Hills property or still from Walton Drive?
That's a very good question, and I don't have the answer to that.
Okay.
I don't know.
Is that something you could, in discussions with them, you could...
It would be accessed through Walton Drive,
It would?
yes.
Okay. Is that something that that on our behalf, you could say, try to work out? And because we're not really, I think that's a big issue too. Like, if it does have to get put there, it's really no difference compared to being at the second site. The big issue is that, it's still very close to the homes, and then all the work and things that would be going on from Walton Drive. Is that something you could propose to them? 20 feet is not good enough.
They have an access road.
It's got to be in the middle of their 80-plus homes on their end of the property. They're getting financially compensated for it.
And we
It should
wanna
be
know
there,
who made the
and they
deal.
should not have to access our road, on our tiny little road, to have 18,
children play on.
with 18-wheel tractor trailers coming down our road, knocking down all the logs there.
Okay. Hold on. I'm going to allow you to speak, but you have to come up to the podium. All right, because the people at home can't hear you.
That was just it.
Let him finish.
I appreciate if that's something, maybe you could just tell me now where you could put that on the table where, or is that even, is that completely not possible, or is that something that could be worked out?
I'd say that's probably more of an engineering and site decision, but
Yeah.
whatever further discussions the board has with the contractor, that can be included if the board's inclined to do it. And
Is
if-
that- Yeah, I mean, obviously, everyone doesn't want it there, this is like the second go-around about this with you guys, so you all know, but I mean, I think that's, that would ease the blow a little bit, but, and then I was wondering, what's the actual town rule on how far does the tower have to be away from, is it a property line or an actual building?
All right, well, here,
Yeah.
Todd?
Yeah.
Todd, you can ask them, but the people at home can't hear their answer.
Oh, sorry.
So if you're going to ask the question of the engineer or the building inspector,
I'll
I
make an
need them to
appointment.
come to a mic. I need them to be mic'd up so they can hear your response. So
Sure.
Mike, did you want to?
I'm not prepared, but it's either 1 or 1.5 times the height that has to be from a structure.
Speak up, please.
It either has to be 1 or 1.5 times the height away from a occupied structure, but I don't know.
I believe it was 1.5.
We did the math. Is that the
I
structure?
have to look up the exact number. I don't have it in my head, and I apologize for that.
Could you look it up and get back
Yes,
to?
I will look it up right now.
I appreciate it. That's all, thanks. Appreciate
Okay,
it.
all right, thank you. All right.
Hi. My name is Denise Seppi, and I'm a physician and a resident of Mayapack for 35 years. I think it's a true travesty that this town council had the gall to put a cell tower, a 5G cell tower, in the backyard of my two neighbors. I'm not on that road, I'm on Kiaora Boulevard. But they have children, and this 5G radio waves, which is non-ionic radiation, can cause headaches, cancer, cognitive disabilities, reproductive problems, headaches. What were you thinking to put this tower in this neighborhood with these poor people, my neighbors? They had a beautiful neighborhood. You went there and put that right in their backyard. I think it's disgusting. It's disgusting, deplorable. You didn't even give them a chance to speak. They didn't have any chance to speak their mind. I am appalled. I am so sorry that I don't have anybody else to vote for on that ticket. Every year it's the same names in 10 different parties. We don't have a choice here. We elected you to take care of us, and you are not doing your job. This is disgusting. This is a healthcare problem. This is a Mayapack travesty. This should be totally, there should not be any movement of this cell tower from 140 feet to 400 feet to whatever. This does not belong in any neighborhood in Mayapack. This has to be put in areas where there are no people.
My name is John Gandolfo. I have a house on Walton Drive. With all due respects, we've spoken to a lot of people about this, and looking at all the stoned faces, when you people showed up to give your photo op, or whatever you did 2 weeks ago to placate us, did you say you didn't show up to look at the site? Was it your statement that you told the residents there, we didn't look, we forgot to look at the site, or whatever you said? Is that the truth? What did they say when they got there? Did you, what I like to know is, who overlooked it? Which one of the stone faces here, there, who overlooked it? Well, who said, I'd like to know who said it. Speak up, you're here, you showed up. Who overlooked it? Who didn't show up to look at a site that's going to put a 150-foot tower over people's homes? And this gentleman just said, oh, it's one tower length away from your home. And all the stone faces here, don't seem to care. What I like to know, nobody's answering me. Who turned around? We know who did it. I want you to admit it here. Who was there? I want people to know. Who showed up after you voted on something without looking at it or seeing what the damage you're going to do? Who showed up and said, we overlooked it? Speak up. Somebody here said it.
Susie, engineer, you were the three.
Who?
That showed up finally.
Nobody's speaking. Why?
Quoted in the Mayapack newspaper in last week's article,
You don't
specifically.
Oh.
Am I, no, but this is what I'm asking for. Am I getting, wait a second. Am I going to get an answer on who made the statement? Or nobody's going to say it here because you're all under oath? What? I'd like to know who said it. I'm here. I'm going to wait until somebody says, I said it.
Your voters want to know who said it.
You showed up at a site to put a cell tower in the back of my home, and you overlooked it? And you have the nerve, and you voted yourself a raise tonight? An 11% raise tonight that this man turned around and said, oh, I understand that 100%. The rest of us don't understand it.
And we don't even have a factual answer for how far that tower has.
Ma'am, you can't speak up in the audience. You
What I'd
can't.
like to know-
If
what
you
I'd
want,
like-
if you have something to say, you can come up to the podium.
What I like to know, sir, listen, what I like to know before I step down, you were here, somebody made the statement. Can you please tell me, since I wasn't there actually and I was late, who made the statement that you totally overlooked where the tower was going?
When are you talking about? What meeting are you talking about?
Exactly. What? Exactly. Wait, let me talk.
I walked the site. I walked the site with the engineer.
Oh, we haven't been here. Wow.
Did you say that?
I don't know where the other sites were, so how did you approve site number
I walked.
You walked, wait, no, listen. Quiet, wait. You walked the site, you told people that we weren't allowed to walk with you, but you made the statement that you weren't there.
Weren't where?
How do you know where the tower was going?
I had no idea where the towers were going.
So how did you vote on it? Thank you. You have no idea the tower was going. Don't give that face. You have no idea that the tower was going to go to my house.
Wait a second. I chair the meeting, all right, and you're out of line right now.
No,
sir.
you're out of line.
Listen. If we can't
Okay.
do this civilly, all right, if we can't have a civil, calm, respectful conversation, we're not going to do it.
How do you have
We're not gonna do
quiet
it.
eruption? Quiet.
I don't visit every single site of applications.
You don't think it's important to visit a site going over people's homes?
Planning board members do.
Who's the planning board's members? Are they here?
They're not here, no.
Who are they?
We weren't required to
Planning
visit
board
the
members.
site.
But you voted on
You weren't
it.
required to. You're asking me, and I'm being honest with you, all right? When I went out there that day with the engineer and Councilwoman McDonough, that was the first time I've been to that site.
How could you vote on a site putting up a tower
Because I
like this over
wanted to
people's
see,
homes?
I wanted to see for myself.
But you voted
where-
on it, sir.
You're correct. You're correct.
Why would
It
you
was a
vote on it?
settlement- It was a settlement of federal litigation that the town was sued. The town was sued by Homeland Towers, and it was
were
part of
also-
negotiations,
yes,
and it was part of a settlement.
Right, we were also told that the original site was voted down from this board because it was next to somebody's daughter's house on the other site. Is that true? I'm just asking if this makes sense.
If you want to believe that,
I
if you
think
want to
you-
go home and believe that,
Why?
there's no discussion.
That you voted the
This
site
really
down next to
doesn't-
some, I'm not saying whose
It
daughter.
doesn't pay to try. I was on your
Jason's.
side. I was on there. I sat there. I know exactly what you're feeling, especially with the person that said they have 2 kids. My daughter is pregnant.
Where
My
does she
best
live?
friend
Where does she live,
backstabbed
sir?
me
Where
by
does she
putting a
li- where does she
tower
live,
there.
sir?
I couldn't vote on it.
Where does she live, sir?
I live on Westlake. I could
think-
not vote. Let me
Quiet,
finish.
please.
Now let me finish.
You think people are
With
going
your
to believe
comment.
you
Now
that
let
you
me
backed out?
finish.
Let him finish.
Now
Go
let
ahead.
me
Let's
finish
hear
with
the
your
story.
comment.
Let's hear the story.
If you want to go home and go to bed thinking, I got it moved, that I got it moved from Dickie Deal's property to your front yard, there's no talking to you.
It is there.
Okay?
There's no talking to
I'm
any of
not
us then.
finished. Then you can yell, you both can yell all you want. I'm not finished. I didn't go to the meeting. I was told the cell tower is going on Maple Hill Estates, where it backs up to Somers, and there are no affected homes. We look at a map.
Look at a map.
We look at a topo and a map. Okay? I didn't meet anybody out there. And if you think I had the power to do that, more power to you.
So you backed out from a vote, taking it away from in front of
I
your
wasn't
daughter's
allowed
house.
to vote.
You weren't allowed to
No.
vote. Why? Why?
Greg, why couldn't I vote?
You recuse yourself from the vote.
What?
You recuse yourself from the vote.
Why, sir?
Because I
Why-
was involved.
Why? You know why you did that? Because you covered your tracks so you can back
you
it away from your
believe that-
daughter's. Of course, it's the truth.
If you believe that, I'm happy for you. I can't talk you out of it.
You can't talk us out of it because
No
we know what you
problem.
did.
No problem. If
Okay,
you
so
believe
the
that,
bottom line-
there's
so
no
I'll
more-
end it
no
with this
reason to
because
fight
nobody
over it.
believes you because we all seen your corruption. The bottom line to it is that you showed up and you gave these poor people and myself the answer that you didn't look at it something this dangerous before you voted it and you backdoored everybody there on this backdoor deal. First of all, why did only 4 houses get notices from this town that this was happening and no other residents anywhere? Do you know I spoke to like 50 people from Maple Hills and not one person got notice of it? Is that your policy? That 4 people on the site right there got notice, sir? Why didn't you send out notices to people in the area? Only 4 people, and when the people found out, they weren't happy. What you did to us was wrong. You didn't show up, you didn't check anything, you backdoored us, you gave 4 people a fast thing that this thing was being planned for how long? And then you showed up and you gave us the answer, and I'm going to leave after this.
Wait a minute,
Then you
excuse
showed
me.
up and you gave us the answer, we didn't
Excuse
come
me,
look.
Who didn't show up? What do you mean by that?
That's what I don't
What do I mean
I
by
don't
that?
understand.
What do I
You
mean by
didn't
that?
show up.
Did you look at the site before you signed it off on what we were
Did I
doing?
show up out there?
Yeah, and you
Was
told
I
us.
there?
Yeah, you know what you told
Was
us?
I
For,
there
you know what
out
you
of a
told us for your
concern?
photo
Was
op?
I- Excuse me.
You didn't
No,
placate
no
us.
photo op. What are you talking about?
You didn't placate us.
What are you talking about a photo
You
op?
showed up for
Where's
nothing.
What photo op? Who took a picture?
You showed up in front of us. We
who
took
took
the
a
pictures.
picture?
We did.
You weren't there.
Did you say that you didn't show up at the site before you voted on it? No. Once again, you did this behind everybody's back and you didn't show up to even see where it was going. It's a money deal, and the houses on that property and that street are going to be devastated because you backdoored us, and that's what you did. Now, the other thing is, why don't we put the tower by your door? You live in Maple Hills. Why don't we put it down by the trek? Why don't we do that? Say yes.
Go right ahead. Put it, because I didn't choose the site.
Oh, you didn't?
I did not.
But you approved this one.
Do you understand what
But
this...
I understand what you people
Do
do.
you?
But
Okay.
you approved this one. You
There was
approved
no
it in front of
choice.
my door,
There
but
was
not
no
your
cho-
door.
Listen. There's no choice on this matter. Do you realize the federal statute from...
Don't give me federal anything. It's over. It's over. I was waiting for somebody to say federal.
We know the federal statute.
We got backdoors, we're gonna fight you. You know it, and you know it, and you know it. It's a money deal. We got screwed for the little people, a couple of houses, don't worry about it. We're gonna get our shekels, don't worry about it. You showed up, you didn't have the nerve to go look at the site before you put your names on it. Shame on all of you for what you did. You should have showed up. It's 5 minutes down the road. You should have showed up.
Yes, ma'am.
My name is Jessica Gandolfo. I live on Walton Drive. It is obvious that there are a lot of mishandlings with what is happening to our homes. And since you did mention that it was with a federal judge, we have retained legal counsel, and this now is a federal matter, and that will be a problem for how this was handled. What I am asking for you guys to try and make this somewhat okay and come to a middle ground is you do own the road Walton Drive. That is town property, and you can say that your construction vehicles are not allowed to come to that property, which will force this decision to be using the service road of Maple Hills and building it through the back end of there. And that, as angry as everyone here is, we can come to a resolution and we can come to something, but you guys knew that we were coming here tonight, and there has been no answer, and the answer to have to say that someone is going to get back to us on a matter of a 5G cell tower being built 150 feet from my bedroom window is unacceptable. And that is what I'm asking of you. I am asking for you to close the road and to say their vehicles are not allowed on your road. That's what I'm asking.
I don't know, we'll have to defer to council to see if that's something that we can even do.
That's not something, it's not something we're going to discuss here tonight. That's not something I'll discuss with you in the context of the privilege, especially since you can't hear what I'm advising the board. I'm not permitted to do that. I'm not permitted to do that, to discuss what I'm going to
But
discuss
can
with
it
the
be
board in
done?
the public forum.
Can it be done? That's what I want to know. Can you do that? It shouldn't belong in
I was
this.
in the military, I worked with comms equipment. It causes damage. It causes a lot of damage.
But the $500,000 that you stated that you saved in that lawsuit, that was the town's money. We should have voted on whether we wanted to spend tax dollars there. We should have said that, and that was a quote from you in the paper that just came out.
It was.
And this is where we are angry, and I think that we need someone here to actually say, I know that you said you have sat here because your daughter's property was close to there. I know that you are saying you were here, but if you do truly understand this, and if you can truly help us, a backroom discussion is not going to help this. That is what got us here.
During a pandemic, nonetheless.
And our legal counsel has advised on that. So if that's something that you guys can't do, it's not going to save you that a judge did this. I just want you to know.
My name is Linda Shaw, and I live at 53 Walton Drive, right at the site, the closest to the site. And I just wanted to say that I've spoken to some of you, many of you, written endlessly to all of you. I even started writing a couple of years ago to someone on the planning board who never got back to me. But anyway, I've heard many, many times, it's out of our hands, it's out of our hands. So my question is, how did it get to the point of being out of your hands, which has been discussed tonight? You just did it. Did you go to Walton Drive, look at number 53, the little house right at the end of the road, and say, this is the best site for an extremely dangerous, ugly, property value lowering 5G cell tower, right there across from this house, just a few feet from the owner's driveway, knowing full well there are plenty of other acres to put it on here, as well as plenty of other possible sites in Mayapack? Did you? Did we come to an answer, yes or no? Did you go to the site? I think you said no, but you signed off on it. Did you approve a massive, lengthy construction project with full knowledge that there's absolutely no turnaround area and no place to park vehicles other than right in front of my house, blocking my driveway, my mailbox, as well as theirs? We've had endless strings of vehicles, bulldozers, gigantic construction vehicles already. We have mud tracks up and down the street. They run the engines all day, from 9 o'clock in the morning when they show up till 5 o'clock when they leave. I've spoken to some of these workers. It's not their fault. They're very nice to me, very sympathetic. I said, have you ever seen anything as close to a house as mine? Because they do this work all the time. They all said, no, not this close. Did you consider the impact this would have on me, to my property value, after reassessing my home, as well as theirs? Do you really think this is the best solution that you were capable of coming up with, just to save a few bucks of construction costs for Homeland Towers? Was that the main consideration, besides getting out of one of many lawsuits against the town? Just to save Homeland some money? They have tons of money. And they're going to make plenty more with this thing. In your wireless telecommunications Town of Carmel document, are you familiar with it? It's your document. Article 7 states, quote, "It is necessary to protect the suburban character and property values." So another question I have, if I sell my home or they sell their home for less than the full market value, are you going to pay the difference? Because it says, like I said, it is necessary to protect the suburban character and property values, and also to minimize aesthetic impacts. That would be kind of hard to do with it that close to my house, as well as some of theirs. The town board, this is part of the quote, it's right in your Article 7. The town board declares that the protection of residential areas of the town is of paramount importance. Any comments? It's of paramount importance. It's in your Article 7. And you, I'm not done. Thank you. And you must furnish all possible protection for residential areas. That's also in there. So I was just wondering, is that the case? Yes or no? Can anybody give me a yes or a no? Is it of paramount importance to any of you?
Due diligence was not done. That's bottom line.
Not another answer. Amazing.
Okay, so Section E in that same document states that the location of the nearest structure shall be provided as well as conflict with traffic needs. Okay, my house, 53 Walton Drive, look it up. If you look on a Google map, you wouldn't see it because you just see trees. So if somebody used a Google map, they might not have even seen my house. My house is the nearest structure, so did you or did you not visit the site, measure the distance to my property? Well, you said you did, somebody did. And say that this was the one and only site that a cell tower could be built on when there are dozens of acres available right there that would greatly reduce the impact for the entire neighborhood. Not that we want it anywhere there, but somewhere else would be better than where you have it now. So I'm asking that you continue these talks with Homeland and really press the issue to move it much farther away. Perhaps what somebody else suggested, use their driveway. I know somebody said, oh, you don't want to have the vehicles going up the hill with the road. Supposedly, in this letter that a few of us received, and the only reason 4 of us received this is because we started contacting you. So this was the response to the 4 of us. I forgot what I was going to say about that, but anyway. So my solutions and our solutions, yes, we don't want it anywhere up there. Please try to find something else and work something nice out with Homeland. Give them some other site, something that is on your property. And, or use the road, even, last resort, use the road by the water tank, which is right next to my house, the water tank that belongs to to Maple Hill. What I was told originally years ago was that that road was going to be extended and then go down, and a cell tower was going to be somewhere down the hill, closer to the power line, much farther away. This guy, Manny Vicente, he told me that himself, CEO of Homeland, when he got in my face one day and he said, don't even think about getting a lawyer because we never win. And as he said, we never win, he got a little closer to my face each time. So anyway, that's what I have to say.
My name is Gerard Hanrahan. I live at 25 Summer Circle Drive in Mayapack. I live right behind Linda's house, and I'm a carpenter, right? This room is about 60 foot, right? You talk about moving it 120 feet, right? So you're going to move it twice the size of this room, right? If you moved it the opposite way, that would be in Linda's living room. That's how small 120 feet is, and that's how close to her house it is. Nobody wants to live next to a cell tower. You know, this is beautiful land up here. It really is, like I said earlier, it's God's country. And it's nothing but woods. And you can't find nowhere to put it than 120 feet away from her living room. You know, everybody, a doctor reported to you tonight, I'm a carpenter, but she says the effects of it. We got paperwork. You know, you could debate it, whatever, but a lot of people think it's bad for your health. Besides, it's bad for our aesthetics. It's bad for the community. It's bad for our property value. It's just all bad. There's no good that comes out of this, you know what I mean? So I appeal to you, like the residents of Cassie Properties and Dixon Facility, you would treat us with the same respect. You know what I mean? No one wants to fight, man. We just want to live in peace. I love living up here, you know? I didn't know my neighbors prior to this, you know what I mean? They're all good people, you know? And I like that. I like the privacy, you know? I work construction. I work heavy construction for 34 years. And trust me, I work in the city. There's no subways to bring you to Walton Drive. There's going to be workers' vehicles parked up and down that street. It's going to go on. They're going to be driving piles, breaking rock. It's all rock up here. And that's just the least of it, a couple of months of a nuisance. But then you're stuck. What are you going to do? Where can people go that live on Social Security, fixed incomes? Where can they go? You know what I mean? They can't move out, so they're trapped. They're prisoners. They're prisoners, you know what I mean? I hope that you respect us tonight like you respected the other. And, you know, I wish we had a little transparency, honestly. God, if Rob didn't knock on my door, I wouldn't have known until you started breaking ground, you know what I mean? I just hope that you could treat us with the same respect, you know what I mean? Because we're all hard-working people, you know, we're property owners. We choose to live in this community, you know what I mean? I know I did and some of my neighbors, you know? It's beautiful. I mean, really, it's beautiful. It reminds me of Switzerland, the view I got, to be impeded by a 140-foot cell tower. It's like a bad dream. It's like this year just keeps getting crazier and crazier, you know? But with all due respect, I would hope that you would treat us as you did your other residents that came in here. Thank you.
My name's Patricia Gandolfo. I live on 48 Walton Drive. Your cell tower would be directly next to my house, directly next to my daughter who spoke before. I've lived here for 20 years. I moved here and was specifically told at the time that nothing could be built on those woods next to my house because when the condos were approved, they wanted to protect everyone's wells. And I was told that by more than one person, and people that have lived on these properties for longer than me were also told that, and they were told that at a town meeting before the condos were even built, to protect the wells. Now, you start ripping up the trees and blowing up the rocks, because there's rocks on my property. I'm sure there's rocks where they're going to be blowing up things. You can't protect the water. You can't tell people that their wells might not go dry. What are you going to do then? What answer will you have for them then? Sorry, not only do you not have water, but we're going to roast you with the cell tower. It's very disheartening the way this whole thing has played out. I really don't like the fact that your attorney cannot tell us here and now. Somebody give us an answer. Yes, we can protect you because you pay us. You pay our salaries. Technically, you're our bosses. Aren't we your bosses? Why can't you protect us? All you have to say, not on Walton Drive, not on Walton Drive, your complex will get compensated. Your complex has a direct road through. If you look at it on Google Maps, it also has a road that goes down to, I guess, your pumping station and maybe where your garbage goes. I don't know. But it's far away from your condos. Why isn't that used? The people that are being compensated, let them deal with the tower. It will be many, many, many acres away from us. It will solve a lot of headaches, and it will make us feel more protected. Why can't you answer that? I don't know why you can't answer that.
I think I said before
I
that that's
couldn't
something.
hear you, 'cause
I'm
it
sorry.
goes this way.
I'll repeat it. And then that's a matter that I'd have to discuss with the town board in the guise of the attorney-client privilege. This is a federal lawsuit that was settled, signed off by a U.S. district judge. That's the answer.
Stop.
That's the
Stop.
answer.
No, the answer is, we're talking about Walton Drive. We're talking about still allowing your tower. We're not saying you can't have your tower. We're saying put it down on another road.
Ms. Gandolfo, I understand what you're saying, and you're oversimplifying the issue.
You own the road. You own the road. We pay taxes. This is an out-of-state company. And I don't know if any of you paid attention to the problem with the storms. Did any of you pay attention to Rockland? Did any of you see all the cell towers that had problems? And you know what? They were all Verizon. Did any of you pay attention to that? You had towers that didn't work in police stations and places where people needed emergency services. You know why? Because they weren't maintained. Cell towers were falling apart. Cell towers were not maintained. People over in Rockland are having a fit, and they're doing new laws, and they're doing whatever, and you want to give us another Verizon tower. You work for us, so work for us. Protect us. And if you can't protect us, then maybe we should keep the police and defund this town council.
Hi, my name is Rebecca Bierhoff. I live right behind many of these residents of Walton Drive. I live on Mountain View Drive. I, like many other residents, never received any notification that this cell tower was being built. I found out because of a Facebook page that was created by Rob Cavallaro. I just want to paint a picture for all of you. I know that you were saying that you just a few months ago were in our position. A year and a half ago, my fiance and I were moving up from North Carolina. I wanted to move back to Putnam County as I had lived in Putnam Valley for 25 years. I love this area. So we drive up Mountain View Drive, we pass Walton Drive, and we find our house. A year and a half later, we're looking to start a family, and I learn that a cell tower is being built right behind our house. I'm a nurse. My fiance is a respiratory therapist. We have worked through this entire COVID pandemic. We have been commuting down to Manhattan, and we have lived through so much in the last couple of months. Our home is our safe space, and now you're telling me that our safe space is going to be forever changed, and we need to rethink about whether or not we're going to stay in this town. Now, as a previous resident of Putnam Valley, I'd like to share some information with you. Just a year ago, they also were fighting a cell tower that was to be placed just behind someone else's home, technically in Town Hall. I reached out to them to please help us to figure out what they did to help get this tower moved. I do want to say that I am so disappointed as a new resident of Mahopac of the lack of transparency coming from each and every one of you. The town supervisor of Putnam Valley went out to each cell tower placement in Putnam Valley and looked at it himself and looked and talked to every single resident it would impact. None of you did that until a week ago, until we all raised our voices and we all made noise. We will not stop. We will not stop. Our voices will not be stopped. I will not let my life be forever changed based on something that all of you signed off of that you didn't even go and look at. And I also just would like to say that I'm so disrespected on how 2 of you are on your phones while all of my other residents are talking. And I'm just very disappointed. Yeah. So I
I'm
wanted to
communicating with clients on the phone in this room, so just so you understand, not on my phone surfing. No, I'm answering questions of a client who's asking me questions while we're in the meeting.
Then I believe that you should remove yourself and be able to use your phone outside the room. It's just very disrespectful, and
Well, I apologize if you feel that way. but-
I do feel that way.
My phone hasn't left my pocket.
That is all I have to say. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Hi, everybody. Jean Hopper, Mahopac. I don't live in that area, but I have a question. I didn't even realize we had to settle a lawsuit, and I understand why. I mean, this is all FCC, this is all federal regulations that are hard to fight, and we understand that. I'm confused, though. When they originally were requesting sites for cell towers, they were on the other side, by Croton Falls Road, back behind Long Pond. So now they're on a different area. And I remember the studies that they were showing us that that's where they had dead zones, right, over by Croton Falls and by Long Pond. And now somehow that this area is okay. I'm just wondering, to settle that lawsuit or whatever, did you show them all the other commercial properties, town-owned properties that we would benefit from?
We did.
They seem a little arbitrary. You know where I'm going with this, right? They're saying, well, we want this site, we want this site.
We gave them a book with 23 parcels in it.
Right.
That are town-owned properties. For them to consider, they reviewed them, and they chose not to use any of those town-owned pieces.
Based on what, though? I know the initial ones were based on the 911, the dead zones, the response. You know, they did testing, and they couldn't reach anybody, and I guess they forgot about that, and now they're saying there's dead zones over here. So where are their real dead zones? Are they showing you the studies? I mean, are they providing that, or they don't have to?
No, they returned the book that had the properties in it that they reviewed.
Right.
So their analysis, or their evaluation of those parcels, they determined that that wasn't a location that would benefit by having a...
And when they determine that, they're proving that to you with data of some sort that they did before? The same kind of testing where they said it was a dead zone here and a dead zone there?
Rich, can you comment on that? The 23 parcels that they looked at, they determined, Gene, they determined that those parcels were not...
No, I understand that, but based on what? Based on,
I don't know, whatever review that they used to,
But
whatever their analysis was, I don't know what that meant.
no, I know, and I know they're hard to fight, I understand this, but I'm confused as to why those other original sites were sites that they really needed to, right? They were going to fight us tooth and nail for those sites because of their studies. Now, as a settlement, they're saying, well, this area is better. So based on what? What's the data that shows that there's dead zones in that area, or that that cell tower would compensate those other dead zones? I mean, I don't know.
We have perfect cell phone coverage in our area.
I'm sorry?
We have perfect coverage in our area, you're right.
I just recall that being their big bone of contention was that for first responders, which is important, yes, nobody wants a dead zone, but now it seems like the other area covers, I don't know, it just seems fishy to me, that's all. Thank you.
Is there anybody else that would like to speak? Come on up.
Can I just add one more point, please?
Sure, come on up.
So, can I just...
No, because they can't hear you at home.
So just one last point that I just wanted to make is you guys have to understand, council, residents, that directly behind our homes is Summit Circle Drive. And behind Summit Circle Drive, there are humongous power lines back there. Not only are there power lines back there, but there is a federal natural gas pipeline buried under the ground. Lou Paganelli, Eileen Paganelli, they live behind those things that I just mentioned, they're behind their house. So has anybody taken into consideration the fact that now we're going to be sandwiched like an Oreo cookie in between power lines, federal gas, natural gas pipelines, and a 5G tower? Has anybody, maybe all three of those items are okay by themselves, but what happens when all three are combined? Has anybody thought of that? I see that I see negative health effects right there. The proximity with all three of these extremely dangerous things doesn't make any sense. And again, due diligence wasn't done here, obviously, we know that. And again, nobody just stood there and looked around and said, wow, house here, 5G tower there, power lines here, federal natural gas pipeline here. Nobody did that. So that's another thing that's got to really be looked at. How come nobody looked at and said maybe the 5G tower, shouldn't be this close to a federal natural gas pipeline? Thank you.
Very quick point. As I've told some of my neighbors, when I was in the service and I was working around high comms equipment, I had to go to my commanding officer and get a sign-off chit from multiple people before I can even go next to comms equipment. So if the U.S. military feels that it's okay or it's not okay to be working around, or I mean, even for a few minutes around comms equipment, what makes people think it's okay to put it in residential neighborhoods? That's it.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, my name is Eileen Paganelli, and I live on 18 Summit Circle Drive. I'm very, very upset about this. I have lived there for 40 years, and I know a lot of you people on the board and everything, and I've worked with you. I'm just very upset, and I wanted to ask you, in this paper that you had sent out to just a few people, it said there were no registered complaints to any of the crane and balloon testing done by the applicant. Who would complain? We didn't even know. That, we knew nothing. So I don't understand that. I'm also upset our neighborhood has changed. We have all new young families in there. This is a neighborhood that's growing. Our schools are growing. We're the oldest people in our neighborhood now, I think. And, we have wonderful neighbors, and it would be a healthy community. So they're so upset. My neighbor next door wants to move. So it's terrible. I'm sorry.
Is there anyone else who would like to come up and speak?
Just one quick comment.
1980, we moved in. In 1985 or 6, when Maple Hill was building the condo site, they started digging up the land next to my house there at the end of the road, and so we started coming to the town meetings. None of you were here then. And we spoke to Mr. Crary, who's the owner or manager of Maple Hill. Many times we came to the meetings, and he told all of the people, yeah, you might have been there at the time. No, Eileen might have been there at the time. Anyway, we were told directly by the town council at the time, as well as Mr. Crary, that nothing else would ever be built, we were assured, on his property there. Just this tower next to my house, the buried water tank where water gets pumped up and then it flows down by gravity. So could one of you, maybe legal counsel, check into town board meetings way back then? He was also supposed to put a gate up, which he never ever did. We came back and said, what about that gate? What about that gate? You know, to keep intruders out of the land there. So could you look into that? Because
yes.
he and the town both made that promise that nothing else, no condos, no other structures, et cetera. Of course, we didn't know about cell towers back then, but nothing else would be built.
There should be record of the site plan
Right.
approval.
Right.
Even from the
That's
80s, we
something-
should still have it.
Well, that's something, the engineering department could research that. Rich? Did you hear?
Yes, it could either be the engineering department, building department, planning department. We'd be able to find it, but Ms. Shore, you were talking about town board meetings, so it would have to be, the clerk would have the town board meeting information from that era, 84, 85.
What time frame? What era? 85, 85,
Summer
86?
of either 85 or summer of
And do we have-
86.
We
Like,
do have
say,
minutes from
July.
85 and 86, but it doesn't seem to me like it was a town board issue, something that was, if it was,
Planning.
I think that's planning.
yeah.
It would
I
be
think you're
more
planning
planning
that time.
board, probably in the planning board minutes? Planning board minutes at the time? All right, we can research that. Dan, is that something that you can take a look at?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, thanks. All right, is there anybody else that would like to come up? Anybody that hasn't spoken already? Besides this gentleman, he came up
I'd
early?
just like to ask the engineer
All right.
if he could answer Rob's question about the gas lines and the power lines, if they've been investigated.
I don't, first off, please ask the question into the microphone. I didn't quite hear you.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Rob asked a question earlier about the power lines and the gas. Have you investigated or did any work on that before this site was picked?
I'm not the engineer who picked this site.
Oh,
That
I'm
was
sorry.
Homeland Towers engineer who picked the site. It was Homeland who picked it. So I don't know if they investigated it or not.
Are you the town engineer?
I am the town
What
engineer.
type of engineer are you?
I'm a civil environmental engineer.
Civil engineer. Are you involved in any of this, the tower's location?
Only through the planning board process, when the planning board process comes through.
Okay.
So when it comes to the planning board, I review it as part of the planning board process.
So I would hope that you would deny this new location.
It's not up to me, that's the planning board. If they had it in front of them, it's up to the planning board to either accept or deny it. We review it, we give our opinions, that would be the building inspector, the planner, myself as the town engineer. We give that information. The board then makes that decision, not this board, the planning board. But I don't believe this is great, this is not going in front of the planning board.
The planning board denied the other ones?
No.
The other two locations?
I don't remember what happened.
The zoning board and the planning board both issued denials on the initial Dixon site and the Croton Falls site.
The planning board and who else denied the other two
The
locations?
zoning board.
The zoning board.
They had applications at the zoning board for variances for height and for road width.
Is there anyone here from the planning board
No, planning board meets next Wednesday.
next Wednesday? Would we be invited back next Wednesday to appeal to them?
So, Mr. Hanrahan, did I have that correct? Your name, Mr. Hanrahan?
Oh, my name is Gerard Hanrahan.
Okay, Mr. Hanrahan. So those two applications went to the planning board. This particular site was submitted to the planning board. It did not get on an agenda.
It wasn't on the agenda.
It was not. There was an application submitted, there was a balloon test conducted. After the planning board and the zoning board denied the Dixon and the Lake Cassie, or the Croton Falls Road site, the federal litigation ensued, and the settlement involved relocation of the Dixon site on that same property, but in a different particular tower location, and relocation of the Cassie site, or omission of the Cassie site, and construction here of this site. That was the settlement that was approved.
So you're saying it's not going to go by that planning board?
That's correct.
So what's going to stop this from happening?
I'm not sure how to answer that. The town board is, like I said at the beginning, trying to address the residents' concerns and discuss it with Homeland, and that would be one way to try and alleviate the impact or to relocate it, but I can't say that that's going to happen or not going to happen at this point. Obviously, some of the residents have retained counsel, so that may be some other, okay, so that may be some other way.
Those are the two locations. How long was this discussed, debated, back and forth?
The Dixon and the Cassie?
Yes, sir.
15 months?
But how come we didn't know nothing about it? Right? If Rob didn't come to my door, how come you got a fight, and we end up losing, and we wasn't even invited to it? You know what I mean? We're the settlement. You know, how come we were denied everything else that the other two locations weren't?
The terms of the settlement provided for this particular site to be constructed without having to go to the planning and zoning board, because they would have gone back to there and had to go through the same process. Okay.
It has to go through the same process?
Just do better. You bypassed all the protocols just to settle. And you guys didn't do your job, and you didn't do your due diligence, and you were negligent. That's what happened here, and this is absolutely disgusting and shameful. Hear us out right now. This is disgusting. Okay? This is disgusting.
How do we go about appealing the settlement? I mean, we must have some rights, and this is America, right?
The residents all have rights, and my assumption based on what's been said tonight is that you're pursuing your rights through your own counsel. Okay? You weren't parties to that litigation, so appealing the settlement is not necessarily what you can do, but there may be something else that you can do from a legal standpoint to protect your rights. And I'm assuming that's what's in process.
How long has this been going around, Carmel? Like, was this the other two locations, Cassie and Dixon, or was this the 10th? Were those the first two locations?
Were those Homeland's first two locations? Is that what the question
Well,
is?
I mean LG Towers in Carmel, like, you know.
I couldn't tell you how many there are existing. What I can tell you is the only three that I've seen in the last 2 years are Dixon, Cassie, and this one on the Maple Hills property of Walton.
A better question, you said this has been going on for a couple of years, Cassie and Dixon. How long has Walton Drive been involved in any of this?
The Walton Drive application was submitted to the planning board in January, February.
January?
Yeah, and the lawsuit was filed in November of 19, so nine months ago.
But yeah, that's 8 months later.
No, we found out in July. We found out July 1st by that notice that was...
Still, that's 6-7 months later, you know what I mean? Like, how come we get this thrown upon us? And you know, everybody else got a chance, you know, to push back. That's what we want, you know? Thank you.
Thank you.
I would like to know the reasons why the other properties were rejected by the planning board, specifically.
What I can tell you from the zoning board's perspective, there
Uh-huh.
were applications that were denied. And the language that I recall from the board's denial was that the applicant did not adequately demonstrate a need for coverage in those two locations. That was the zoning board's determination. Without the zoning board approval, the planning board application pretty much dies.
So
Okay.
this is, I thought Verizon was the one who chooses the place, not the zoning board. They know where the towers belong, not the planning.
Correct, but when they came to the zoning, just backtrack, they go to planning for a site plan approval.
Okay.
And when they go to planning, planning sees certain nonconformities with respect to the code. In this particular instance, it was the height of the towers in each location and some other site characteristics. I believe the length or width of the access road and whether it was going to be paved or not.
All the problems
Incidental
we
things.
have,
So
the access road and the height of the tower.
the planning board sent them, basically what they call denied them to the zoning board, saying you have to get this zoning relief before we can consider processing your site plan application further. It gets to a certain point in the process and they have to get the zoning relief. And the zoning determination on both of those towers was, as I'm quoting it, I was at the meetings, the recollection is that they did not adequately demonstrate a need for coverage in those areas. Doesn't mean they didn't have the need, but the zoning board can only decide on the evidence that's in the record before them, and there were 2 hearings, long hearings, much like this, several hours, and then they were adjourned, and the zoning board came back at the close of the public hearing, I want to say in October of 19.
So none of us here have cell phone issues at all, ever, in Mayapack, ever. So we would like to see those evaluations by all your boards, zoning people, planning boards. We would like copies of them sent to Mr. Cavallaro to review, to find out why they were rejected from those communities, because we need those.
You can get those by a FOIL request. Those are FOILable documents, and they're on file
From
in the
who?
zoning and planning department and in engineering.
Okay.
And all that's available.
And what were the dates, so we could know how to request
I think
these
zoning was
records?
October 24th, 2019. That's my recollection of it. It
So
was
from
late
October to now, because you're saying this happened over a period of time.
But that was the end of it. The beginning of it,
No, we need
I'm
the
going
whole
to say,
thing.
was the middle of 18. So it may have been May or June of 2018.
Okay.
To get to that point.
Yeah, it all sounds fishy to me, because it all sounds like we have the same exact problems those 2 sites had.
Hi, my name is Lou Paganelli, as mentioned before. I have in front of me the letter that was issued to the 4 people. It's the letter of concessions for this tower. And, oh, I'm sorry. Okay. I have the letter in front of me from July 1st for explaining the reason for the towers going up and the concessions that were made. And I just have one particular concession amongst others, but this one bothers me the most. And it's on page 2. It's the second bullet that says, permitting the construction of a 110-foot monopole cell tower at a new location further from residential properties and closer to the town property at the Dixon facility. Okay? Does anybody know how much further from the residential properties that tower was moved to a new location closer to town properties?
Rich?
Respectfully, I don't know that answer. I have not seen the map. Maybe council knows that.
I think that it was approximately 300 to 400 feet further east on the property towards McDonough Park.
So that's 300 to 400 feet from the original site, so that is as a residential properties. And what you're saying is you're willing to look at this site and move it to Site 2, which is 120 feet.
I'm not willing to look.
No, I don't mean to. No, I don't mean to put.
If I had it my way, I'd move it 5,000 feet away.
Thank you.
It's Site 2 is 120 feet away from Site 1.
Okay.
So, and Site 3 is 120 feet away from, it seems that they're all 120 feet
Okay.
from each other.
Is there the possibility of coming up with other sites in the Maple Hill Estates that would accept this, or is it worthwhile to look into that for us to see that, you know, if you're willing to make a 500-foot concession at Dixon because it's away from residential property, kind of saying the same thing here. You know, we don't want it in Linda's backyard. We don't want it across the street from Rob. I don't want it near my house. But is that something that can be put on the table to be looked at and a resolution made or a communication back?
It's a conversation I could have with Homeland, and I could, advocate for that, and I could support that, but at the end of the day, it's their decision if they're gonna move, if they're willing to move it or not. It's entirely up to them. I mean, I could scream and yell on the phone
No.
at them, but that's not gonna get us anywhere.
No.
All right? But I could certainly, suggest or encourage them to move it from where it's currently being. And I did the other day when I spoke to Mr. Vicente, I did indicate that. Please work with us, move this from the current location. It is very close to residential homes on Walton Drive, and he said he would consider it, and he would get back to us. I haven't heard from him.
Okay.
But that effort was made. I want you to know that I didn't just say, or none of the.
Oh,
board
no.
members,
I may have misworded it,
We're not willing to do anything.
Okay.
I had a 40-minute conversation with him.
Okay.
It wasn't,
So is there something that can be done where we can put this on hold until your conversations and requests that were made can get answers for? And then say, move from there? I don't know, I'm just asking.
I don't know the answer to that, sir.
Okay.
That would be a question that I'd run by legal counsel. That would be entirely up to, because that would be a legal matter,
Okay.
because if.
Would the town be willing to do that for the community?
I'm not sure if the town can do that or not, but that's something that council would have to comment on that.
It's going to depend on your discussions with them.
I don't,
It's going to depend on your discussions with Homeland.
Right.
If that's part of what you're asking, and they're
Right.
considering it, then it may happen. Okay, but there's no legal mechanism for us to just stop them. Okay, they have the permit to do it. But the discussions are something you're undertaking, and maybe that'll be part of what they'll consider doing.
So this isn't going to end tonight here, okay? We appreciate everyone coming here, and we heard you, all right? And we're listening. Trust me, we are, all right? So we're going to find out what our options are. What is it that we can do to help you folks?
Okay.
All right? Because we understand what your concerns are, and, I'm sorry?
Okay.
When can you guys get back to us and let us know?
Well, yeah, when we have more information,
But how will you get it back to us? In a list of priorities, because both of you have come to the site, and I know that both of you were shocked when you saw how close it actually was to the homes. So knowing that, on your priority list, where is this? Like where are you gonna push this to say, we gotta get this?
me personally, it's way up here. All right, you're asking me where it is as far as a priority. As far as I'm concerned, it's an extreme priority, in my opinion. All right, I think if something can be done, it should be done. All right, but then again, I don't know what our legal options are at this point, what the town's options are with respect to making that happen. Forcing Homeland to move the tower from where it's currently being proposed to be built. Right, but we're going to look into all of that. We're going to have conversations with our attorneys, and we're going to find out legally what we can do.
You've made a lot of valuable points. I really appreciate everybody coming here.
No, I got one more question. And
And,
I'll make it fast.
okay.
I'm just a little confused, and I'll make this very fast. What I'm listening to, and I don't know, again, legal ins and outs, it seems to be that you are telling us this last few minutes that the tower people sort of control what this council does right now. You keep saying that they're in control. I thought you people were in control. You said it like 3 times that you have alleviated yourself. It's the tower people that will make the decision, and they're the ones in control. I thought you people vote on things for this town, for us. So why do you keep saying that the tower people will give you the answer that they want to give you? That's what's confusing me.
Maybe legal counsel can weigh in on that, but it was part of a federal settlement. It was part of a settlement of
But you wrote off
litigation.
on it.
Excuse me?
But you signed off on
Yes,
it.
so you're asking why is Homeland Towers, do they seem to be controlling this?
Yeah.
Why? Because at this point, they are. At this point, they absolutely are. All right? I wish we had the power to change what, you know, what Homeland's doing right
But you
now.
did it twice.
No, but you mean going forward? If there's something that we can do, we're certainly going to do it. We have to discuss with legal counsel what our
Legal
options
counsel.
are at this point.
That's all I wanted to ask. You know, you had the power to take it away from somebody's daughter's backyard to put it on my backyard, and I just want to know why all of a sudden you had the power to do that, but now Homeland Towers controls you.
Homeland Towers basically controlled everything from day one because they have the protection of the federal government.
But you
Okay?
voted it down.
I was told.
Why didn't they,
I-
but you
I'm not
voted it
finished.
down.
I was told, this tower is going in Maple Hill Estates, in the back, in the woods by the power lines. Nobody would be affected, okay? I could not vote on it. So if you want to continue down the path of it was moved because of my daughter, go right ahead. But I am
Not what I'm
telling
saying.
you,
The only thing I'm asking
that
right now, I hear what you said it before,
they
but
looked at
what I'm
several
asking
pieces of
now,
property.
what I'm asking now
They
is why
looked at
is,
several
this
pieces
is
of
the
property.
council.
Don't talk over each other.
Okay,
they
this
looked
is,
at several pieces of property from Miller Road all over this town. And I hate this company from day one.
I don't think
all right?
so.
But bottom line is, they're going to put the
I don't
tower
think so.
wherever they want to put the tower.
I don't think so, but the bottom
Okay.
line to it is, what I'm asking,
You
and I
have
guess,
your own feelings.
I guess a lot of people do, the question we have, and that I have right now is, I thought that the council, Carmel Town, New York, I thought you people had the power to protect us. What you're telling us now, from what I'm hearing, okay, is, and from what you people are just silent about, is that they control you. And that's all I'm asking. At this point, they control you. Yes or no? It's a yes or no question.
They don't control me. You're
They-
using the word control.
The council,
No-
they
Nobody
control.
controls me. I make my own decisions.
So you made the
all right,
decision
Based
to-
on research and based on
But you couldn't have.
information.
But you
Based
couldn't
on
have.
facts. No,
But you
based
couldn't
on
have.
factual information.
But you couldn't have.
Excuse me. I let all of you speak, all right? We have to, what I told everybody not less than 10 minutes ago, we're going to consult with the attorneys and find out what our legal options are, the town's legal options, whether or not there's anything that we can do to help you folks out. I said that, right?
Right, but-
Didn't I
right.
say that?
Yeah,
No,
but
listen,
you did say it, but the-
you don't know me, all right? Now, I don't know you. I'm very sincere with what I'm saying. I've always been sincere and
I
honest.
followed the council for a while.
What's that?
I said I followed the council for a while. I've lived in this town for 20 years.
Okay, I've been here 63 years.
Okay.
All right? I understand that, all right? But what I'm trying to tell you is when I say that I'm going to do everything I can to help you folks out, I mean that, all right? You may not know me, all right, and believe that right now, but I'm telling you that.
All right.
And I'm sure that the other
I'll leave,
council members
I'll leave this
feel
with
the
this.
same way.
Right, I'm going to leave this with this. You just stated that if it was up to you, you'd put it 5,000 feet away. But you signed off on it with the rest of the people without even knowing where it was going. That's a point where you think we don't trust or believe what you've done.
I didn't sign off on anything. You didn't hear what I said.
No, you backed out so you can protect yourself because the
No,
other
I
side.
backed out because I had to.
That's right, so you.
Your name is on this notification that you sent us, Mr. Carrillo. It's right here, too.
Why is your name on the notification that you sent?
I'm sorry?
Your name is on the notification that we got sent. Why that, you didn't back out of this
I
one?
think it was on town board
I was on a
letterhead.
town board letterhead. I wasn't allowed to vote.
These signatures mean nothing?
Okay,
Signatures
I
mean
wasn't allowed
nothing?
to vote. Think and
Signatures-
believe whatever you want.
We do.
I can't change that. It's
We do.
obvious. Good.
We see it. So, bottom line is that
But
the
by
Homeland
me-
Towers controls Carmel.
No, listen, sir, by me saying that if it was up to me, it would be 5,000 feet away, what does that tell you?
It tells me that you didn't do the right thing,
No, it
because
tell-
when
no,
you voted
no,
on it,
no,
when
no,
you
no,
voted on it,
no,
you would have
let's-
voted no.
No.
Why did you vote yes?
It should tell you.
Why did you
that
vote
I'm
yes?
not happy about it either.
Why did you vote yes?
To settle
To-
the
to-
litigation?
To settle the litigation with who? For our tax dollars? Come on, everybody's listening, the town is listening, TV's on. Why did you? thank you, should end right now, because if you are
It should
telling
end.
us,
What should end? You can talk all you want. You don't have to end, keep going.
well, you're not answering a question. You
Yeah,
just
keep
said
going.
if it was up to you, it'd be 5,000
I did
feet
say
away.
that,
But
yeah.
yes, but you voted yes,
And,
which means that which means that what you just said was a lie. Because you voted it
Listen,
about
I don't
50 feet
lie.
in the back of
First
my
all-
house.
First of all, sir, I do not lie.
Why did you vote yes for it?
Is that a lie?
Why did you vote yes?
Voting yes, is that a lie? I'm
Would you-
asking you.
It's not 5,000
Would
feet.
you characterize that?
Yes,
We're
it's
not
not,
going to get into this.
it's not 5,000 feet away from my house.
I'm sorry, we're not going to get into this debate. Of course you're not. Of course I'm not. It's
legal.
Is there anybody else that wants to be heard? Okay. Thank you all for your comments this evening. Thank you all for being here. Have a great night. Hold on. One second.
Was that the article?
Yeah.
Thanks for your points. We'll present them to the company and see what we can do. You guys have brought up a lot of valid points, and thank you for it. I'm the new guy to the board. But thank you very much. Thanks for being here, and thank you for expressing your concerns. I wrote all the points down. We're going to convene. Hopefully, we'll talk together as a board and try and.
Dominic?
We're going to try and fight for the best. Right, right.
All right, we're going to go ahead in 3, 2, 1. You're on the air. Yes.
All right, good evening. Once again, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. We took a little break to allow the people to exit the meeting room, which they've done. So we're going to continue the town board meeting at this point. So I need a motion to close the town board voting meeting first. So moved by Councilman Lombardi, seconded by Councilman Shannon. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so I need a motion to open the town board work session. So moved by Lombardi. Councilman Lombardi. So moved by Councilman Lombardi. Second. Second by Councilman Shannon. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, the town board work session is now open. The first item, Susie, stop talking. Oh, the first item is a review of the town board minutes of July 22nd, 2020. Does anybody have any comments on those? No? If not, we're going to move on. So item number 1 on the agenda, Ann Spofford, Town Clerk. This is to consider request to adopt the revised retention and disposition schedule for New York State Government Records, LGS-1. Ann?
Does anybody have any questions on it? I submitted an email to the town board
Yeah.
just explaining that the New York State Archives is updating their record retention and disposition schedule.
You do this annually? Ann?
We don't do it, they haven't done it in probably 15, 20 years, so it's been a while. And what they're doing is they're incorporating all the municipalities and governments into one master list and updating it to include new record series, which they have come up with, so.
Is this going to mean more work for you and your staff?
Not at all. Not at all.
Oh, okay.
No.
Maybe less.
All right, less?
Maybe.
Oh.
But I do need a
All right,
resolution authorizing it.
All right, board.
Anyone have any questions?
Does anybody have any questions or comments for the town clerk on this item?
No.
Mike?
No.
Okay.
All right.
All right, thanks, Ann.
Thank you. Good
All
night.
right, have a good night. All right, next, Michelle, Jim.
Thank you, Ann.
Jim, oh, okay, okay. All right, so item number 2, Mary Ann Maxwell, the town controller. She was unable to attend this evening's meeting tonight, but she has with her staff member, Michelle Tenafrancia, is the senior account clerk, 2 in the controller's office. So Michelle is going to present this item for Mary Ann, but Michelle also put a tremendous amount of work into the procurement policy, the draft of it, and also Rob Vara helped out quite a bit on that as well. So does the board have If you would, take out your backup for this item.
I would like to also hand out
Sure. Yeah.
something to hand out.
Okay.
This is going to be when we go over page 7. It just highlights the differences between our current
Thank you.
policy and what we're proposing, the monetary threshold.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Okay.
All right,
Ready?
Michelle, take it away.
Okay, good evening. I'm here tonight to present you with a revised and updated policy for your consideration to adopt as the town's new procurement policy. This policy addresses what was identified as a result of the 2019 audit by the Office of the New York State Comptroller and is the product of teamwork between Mary Ann, Rob Barra, as you mentioned, and myself. We also met with Supervisor Schmidt and Greg for their suggestions. So I'm going to walk you through and identify some of the changes and new language that has been added. I'm going to ask you to turn to page 4. This is pretty much just an overview and gives an explanation of why we need a procurement policy. It's pretty straightforward. Page 5. Section 2 defines the differences between contracts for purchases and contracts for public works. The chart on the next page will identify the general municipal law requirements for competitive bidding. We had this in the old procurement policy as well. It's just the law. Okay, moving along to page 7, which is the handout I gave you. So if you could refer to that instead of I created this to help illustrate the changes that have been made. I highlighted the current monetary threshold in orange, as you can see below, the current policy for purchase contracts and public works, and what we're proposing. The dollar amounts requiring verbal and written quotes have increased, and we have increased the monetary threshold required that requires a resolution from $5,000 to $10,000. And this is consistent throughout the policy. So the current policy requires the department heads come to the board for anything over $5,000 to pass a resolution. We're increasing this to $10,000. We're proposing this. And again, that's consistent throughout, as you'll see as we go along. Moving along to page 8. Page 8 and 9 are flow charts for the purchase and public works contracts. Actually, Rob came up with this idea, and he thought it would be easier for people to follow instead of looking at this chart might be confusing for some people. So the flow chart just brings you along the steps. Is it a sole source? Yes, no, what to do. Same thing for the public works flow chart.
Very user-friendly.
Yes.
So
I think
whoever is reviewing the procurement policy, these flow charts will be very helpful in bringing them to where they need to be. So it allows them to understand it better.
I think so.
And it's really a great addition to the policy.
I think visually
Yeah.
it's easier than using a
Yeah.
chart like this, for me personally.
Right.
Everybody,
And I also agree with the $10,000 threshold from 5,000 to 10,000, because these days, everything seems to be over $5,000, between 5,000 and 8,000. And the engineer's coming into the town board at work sessions with multiple items, because he has to. He needs authorization from the board. So increasing it to 10 is going to eliminate that
Yeah.
step.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, definitely. In today's world, everything is,
Yeah.
prices
Yeah.
have increased dramatically. And the same thing for the verbal and written quotes. I mean, it wasn't, we had, the monetary thresholds were very low, considering today's economy and the price of things. Moving along, if I could bring you to Turn to page 10, please. Section 3. So sole source purchases are exempt from bidding requirements. This section helps us define what a sole source is. It's basically a good or service that is unique and can only be procured through one vendor. We created a sole source justification form, if you look on page 18. This provides guidelines for what constitutes a sole source. So the department has to submit this to justify whether calling it a sole source to get away from bidding requirements. And anything over $10,000, well, actually for anything, anything over $10,000 requires a town board resolution.
And this is new also, Michelle?
This is new.
These forms? Okay.
Yes, the form is new. Next page. Emergencies are also exempt from bidding requirements. There's certain criteria by law that has to be met to declare it an emergency. So we created an emergency justification form, which is on page 19. This has to be filled out for all emergencies unless there's supporting documentation which sufficiently meets the GML. An example of this would be a water main break. When there's a water main break, they have a water main break report that they could use instead of the justification form. Again, emergency purchases, and we're doing this now, this is new that we just started. The department will come to the board to inform you of emergencies over $10,000. And what's happening now is a resolution has passed just acknowledging these emergencies. So that has increased from 5,000, which has been coming. Again, that increased from 5,000 to 10,000.
Michelle, I have a question for you
Sure.
on the justification forms
Yeah,
for the sole source and emergency.
yes?
Would there be a time when the purchasing agent that's signing off on this would not be the department head? Could it be someone who's
Yes.
not? So there would be? Just a recommendation that I would add, we may want to add another line to this where the department head signs off on it also.
You want both the purchasing
Yeah.
agent and the department head?
If the purchasing agent is not the department head, then I would recommend adding another line for department head as well. So
Okay.
you have two signatories. So the purchasing agent is approving it,
Okay,
and the department head, whichever department is reviewing or is seeking sole source or emergency, would
Okay.
sign off on it also.
you
So-
want for emergency too. Now, for emergencies, I'm just trying to think out loud here for engineering. Once again, they're,
Well, engineering, it could be that the purchasing agent is, just in engineering's case, it could be Rob Vera.
and actually would then,
Yeah, but, so what I'm suggesting is the department head, so it would be Rich Franzetti.
Yes.
Would sign off on this also. So you
Okay.
have the staff member in the department is the
Yeah.
purchasing agent, and then it goes to the
the
department
department
head
head as
to
well.
approve it also.
Yeah.
So it has two signatures on it.
okay, I guess that does make sense, because in engineering, if it's a water main break, and depending on which vendors we use, they wouldn't be filling out this form.
Right.
They would be using the water main break. Okay.
Right, and then
Right.
also the department head is the one that's really liable for the people in their department. And if somebody in like Mike Carnazes signs off on something, Mike's like, whoa, I would not have approved that.
Right.
You know, so I think the department heads have to be on that as well.
Sure.
Because the department head is the responsible party for that particular department. So, by him approving or her, or
So you're
her
saying
approving.
if it's from engineering and say like Rob Vara signed off on it, then Rich Vanzetti signed off on it?
Right,
Yes.
he would sign off on it.
And the same with
Also
like Mike
authorizing it.
Carnazza.
Sure.
Same with Mike.
Any department head. It could be Mary Ann Maxwell. No, I'm just saying, it should not, it's going to be on the form anyway, department head signature, if it's applicable to the department head, that they have a
You want
department
me
head,
to
then yes.
remove purchasing agent then and just leave it up to the department head?
No, I would have both
both of them?
Yeah, I would have both. So, so essentially, so the purchasing agent is actually the one who's, is doing the research on it, or the one who's requesting to use this form, or is using this form. But the department head is signing off on it, saying, yes, I'm aware of it, I'm aware of the purchase, I'm aware it was sole source, or I'm aware it was emergency.
Okay.
So it really leaves it, so the manager is agreeing with the purchasing agent.
Sure.
Essentially.
Okay, I can do that.
Right, I mean.
Yeah, no,
is
I
that something-
agree.
Okay.
All right, so just add,
Now, how does that work if I have to add it to it? How do I resubmit it to you? Hopefully you'll adopt it by resolution, but how would that work?
You're required to adopt the policy anyway annually. You're going to do it as part of your corrective action plan. So whatever modifications are made after this, Michelle or Marianne or both, we're going to send them to the board and call out this, the sole source justification sheet or the emergency justification sheet have been modified per your request. And then you put it on an agenda. And if people have more questions when it's on the agenda from the board, then you don't adopt it. But it looks fairly ministerial from what you're talking about.
it is, yeah, it's very ministerial, it is, I agree. So, just add another line.
Okay, just add it and then resend to.
And then resend it to the
Marianne
board.
can resend it to the
Yeah,
board.
yeah, and then we're gonna have to put it on at a future voting meeting, right, to adopt it?
Near
Huh?
future.
I
Yeah.
hope so.
Yeah, very near future.
You'll do it, whatever the first meeting in September is, right? You only have a work session left this month. So whatever, September 3rd, I think that's the day. That's your Wednesday meeting. So that's what we'll do.
And then, Michelle, just one more thing with the emergency, because I remember when we met with her, there was the one issue, it was during one of the really bad storms, and we had the propane guy coming. And they said that we didn't get approval, and we explained to them we couldn't get approval because all the power lines are down and everything like that. And remember, she said, no, what you should do is at the beginning of each year, whatever, get a quote from that vendor, and an emergency quote, and that quote would be good for the whole year. So
That-
how is that?
That's still a bid. I don't want to, that's
Yeah.
still a bid. So if you want those, is it petroleum that you're talking about?
I'm talking, yeah, just
Yeah,
that one
you can bid
specific
for
thing with
petroleum, unit cost petroleum, and then you could have, 1, 2, 3, low, next low, second low, or third low bidder, and then, you're going to call them. And if obviously, if it's a circumstance where your low bidder is not available to deliver it, then you can go to one. We've talked about that with some other bulk stuff. Highway does it all the time with their bulk materials, so we can certainly do it for petroleum, if you're talking about like the PD or whatever.
It was
Um,
suburban propane, I think.
Yeah,
What-
yeah,
whatever
that
the-
was one thing
whatever the
she
material
hammered
is, you could
on.
just bid it, and
What
you
she
have
also
the
did,
vendors.
what she did note, it was that even though we declared it emergency, and it was an emergency, obviously,
Yep.
we were in a state of emergency, she said it was never brought to the board's attention to acknowledge
To do it,
as
to
an
acknowledge it,
emergency,
so we can go,
which
do
is
it that
why we
way.
included anything above $10,000 would
Okay.
come to the board, so you can pass a resolution just to acknowledge. That was actually in the audit report,
Yep.
that we didn't acknowledge.
That we
even though it's a
didn't, we
state of-
didn't do a resolution on it. And would this also, remember, was it oil or whatever? There was multiple, let's say $1,000, $1,500 and whatever, and they were all different times, but they added up to over 10,000.
An aggregate.
Yeah. So
That's
the-
where the department would have to go out to bid, correct?
That was
That's what
another
they're
issue.
suggesting. The emergency acknowledgement is something that the board has taken on in 2020. Not necessarily authorizing payment, but acknowledging that the payment was made by the services of the goods were secured by an authorized purchasing agent in an emergency situation, and the board acknowledges that. And that's for the controller to show to the state controller, okay, next time in the course of an audit, so that the board's aware that that was a valid emergency purpose. You've been doing that, I would
So
say,
then we
for 4 or
just do
5
the-
months.
Yeah, because so we just keep on doing resolutions then, pretty much, that's all it comes down to.
Just acknowledging that there was.
Yeah, okay.
If there wasn't that emergency situation, it wouldn't have brought that particular vendor over the threshold.
threshold, I know.
So.
Yeah, okay.
But
Perfect.
to rectify that and to meet, their recommendations.
Yep.
We created this and the form.
And do the resolution. Okay.
Okay, next page, number 12. Professional services was also identified. So we came up with the idea of breaking professional services out into 2 categories, a finite scope and indeterminable. Finite scope is either a set project or a fixed duration when pricing can be determined. And there's examples of that underneath the finite scope. We further then broke out a procurement chart with thresholds and then different approvals. Again, the $10,000 is consistent with the rest of the policy where it would need a town board resolution. And then below that, there's different requirements. $20,000 and above would require an RFP. The indeterminable, on the next page, page 13, is when at the time of engagement, the duration and/or scope and cost cannot be determined. So that requires a town board resolution. There's an example of indeterminable below as well. A law firm in a lawsuit, you don't know how long it's going to last, you don't know what the ultimate cost is going to be. We also created a flow chart, like in these flow charts. On page 14, and I think it's very clear. Any questions on that?
No, it's very easy to read.
Very nice. Nice job.
Yeah.
Thank you. It wasn't just me, it was teamwork. Okay, page 15 touches on piggybacking, which we currently do. But we just kind of wanted to make it clear. GML authorizes piggybacking on federal contracts and contracts of any state. This procurement policy, however, limits the application to only contracts of the state of New York, such as a county, town, village, or school. Other states and have different laws than we have, and it would become really detailed if we were piggybacking off of another state. So we're limited in just to New York State, assuming that, you know, everybody's abiding by the same GML as we are.
Makes sense.
And no cities, right? You don't piggyback off of cities.
No cities. No cities. We do now off the counties. We've done off of different counties. You've done off of.
Yeah, I was just going to say, do we currently,
What do you
yeah,
do it off of?
NJPA is a valid contract in New York State.
and that's in a different, obviously,
New Jersey,
it's New Jersey, Pennsylvania, yes, so that would have to somehow,
Who do you deal with for that? What do you purchase?
Got a back sweeper out there. I think I have my flail road mower coming in off that.
And that's off a different state.
NJPA, it's called, yes.
NJPA.
Probably, I guess, mostly heavy
It's been in
equipment.
existence for at least 15 years now.
And what did you say about New York State?
New York State accepts it as a bid within New York State, even though it's not New York State's bid.
Where do you see it? Where can I find
On
that?
there, on the,
On New York State's website?
NJ.
Oh, so, yeah, so they put it on the state list?
Yeah, New Jersey, Pennsylvania.
So that's a state listing, it's not a piggybacking thing.
So we could piggyback off of that if it's on the New York State
It's,
OGS?
if it's on the OJ list, it's really a state listing, and it's not piggyback. Piggyback, we usually do, not state, it's, county, we do Onondaga, we'll do Putnam stuff.
Yeah.
So that's still considered state, then?
State bid, yeah. It's listed as a vendor and a product on the state, on the OGS list, and it's
It
a
has
state
an
bid.
ODS contract number? Okay.
Greg, should we just put NJPA in parentheses, like where you put county, town, village, school?
No,
Just
because,
to be on the safe side?
because this is piggybacking, and it's a different thing.
Oh, so
Piggyback
this
is just
would go
taking
here.
another government's bid that is a similar in scope, type of product or goods, okay, and being able to use it without us going through the formal bid process. The state bid list is, you got a vendor, you got a product, it's on there, and that's a completely different section of the general municipal law, and you're allowed to do it without going to competitive bid if you buy off state, right? So this section, piggyback, doesn't need to
It
have the NJPA.
wouldn't be with
thing.
that NJ.
Okay.
Well, that's what-
Because OGS recognized it.
It's on the state, it's on New York State bid website has a contract. Okay.
Yes, I just wanted to forward it over, so you see MJPA.
It's not CD backing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we don't have to change anything in this section to.
No, because that's not
with
part of the
respect to my-
backing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not even, all right.
Okay. So, once again, on here, anything for purchases or public works above $10,000 needs a town board authorization. Page 16, this is the purchasing process. This is procedures for departments to follow. This was adopted as a separate policy in 2015 as a result of an audit. In 2015, we adopted this as a separate policy. I've now we incorporated it into the body of this procurement policy, so we don't have two separate policies. It could reside all in one. Okay, page 17, these are our purchasing agents. The only change I made here was to John Dearman's title. And we will review this procurement policy annually and revise if necessary. We understand that it is new, and that if anything comes up as we go along that we see maybe not working for a certain department, we will, meet with them, discuss with them, and if we need to make changes, it gets revised. We can revise it, and it gets adopted every year anyway. Went through the sole source form, emergency form, and the last page, page 20, is just a verbal quotes form. We didn't have one before. Just make it easier for whoever's calling vendors. Write everything down all in one place.
Michelle, I was thinking before with regard to, I know you had said if there's a water break, they have their own format.
They do.
But maybe for the sake of consistency throughout, they should just staple it onto here. This way, if there's ever an audit, they're all on, all these forms are there.
See, the only thing we thought about engineering is we get stacks and stacks. So Donna would be, there's like stacks and stacks from, we have two
Water
different
mains?
vendors, yeah. There's two different vendors. You guys see everything over 5,000, but there's a lot more that.
It was just a thought.
Yeah, we had that discussion, and when we created this, we tried to keep each department in mind, and
Yes.
the major emergencies come from engineering.
Right.
And it would be very time-consuming and a lot of paperwork for her to, so that's why we decided to say, if there is sufficient evidence that this was an emergency, you understand what I'm saying?
Okay, no, I got you.
That.
Again, it was just a thought, and if you guys had thought about it, then it's.
Oh, yeah,
That's fine, All right. No, I don't want to waste somebody's manpower.
Yeah, definitely. If
Hours of
the
statements.
evidence exists that it was an emergency.
Yeah.
We've,
It'll be on that same pile.
yes, and
Okay.
it is, and it comes over like that right now anyway.
Good.
Any questions for me?
No?
No?
It
No?
looks great,
No,
thank you.
very nice,
thank you.
No, great job.
Thank you. Okay, so I will
Thank you.
just make that revision, and then Mary Ann can forward it to you guys again.
Yeah.
And hopefully,
Make that one change, and then we'll get it on for.
hopefully adopt it.
Yeah, we'll adopt it on August 26th.
Okay, that would
Good,
be great,
right?
because
It's a
then.
work session. I think the third will be your next voting meeting, Kenny. Right?
No, I
No,
think
you know
we
what,
have-
this is,
I
you're right.
think- I think we have
26 is
a
right.
double-
This
we
is,
have-
you're right. Be double.
Yeah. So we could do it on the 26th, because it's a double meeting.
That'd be great. And then
session.
another idea was to put on the second page, once the resolution is passed, and I'm going to insert it right in here.
Oh, okay.
As part of the document, just for,
All right. All right.
that's it.
Good
Okay.
job, Michelle.
Well,
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Y'all
All right.
have a good night.
You too.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thanks. Okay, next item on the agenda, number 3, James Gilchrist, Director of Recreation and Parks. Jimmy, consider request to approve bid package for Phase 3 Airport Park and Athletic Complex System, septic system.
So we're at a position now at the airport park, the foundation for the building is in, all the plumbing underneath the building is in, so we're ready now to put the septic system in. The irrigation line from the well number 7 to the contact point has been made throughout the park. That'll be hooked up electrically probably next Monday, Tuesday. So that, all that work has been done. So this is the last major project we'll be doing out at the airport. We'll be putting the septic system in. Come out of the building, go into a pump tank. I have a full set of plans if it's easier to read than trying to read the smaller one, if you want to see this. So we'll have, it'll come out of the building, go into a septic tank and then a pump tank, up to the fields. They'll be uphill, going up towards Scott Road from the building. It's a small lift, it's not that big of a lift. So we're looking for authorization to go out to bid. Inside, finish the packet. Ann Spofford and I went over dates for advertising the paper, bid dates. I did not realize, I thought we had a voting meeting next Wednesday. So we went over dates a couple days ago. We revised our time frame. So we're hoping that you guys will vote on this on August 26th. It'll go in the paper on September 1st. It'll be available in the town clerk's office on September 3rd. And the bid opening would be on October 1st at 11 a.m. So I've checked the dates with Ann and the court clerk's office are all set there. We're going to have to send this back up to Insight to go over the public notice that comes out of the legal notice that's here. And we had two other revisions. There was a carryover from Phase 3 irrigation. They used the same legal notice but changed the guts of it. There was one line where we have to remove the bid documents at no cost. That was the second time we bid that, the irrigation system out. And on the second page of that legal notice, there is a line that we have to take out. It says water supply improvements. That should be obviously septic improvements there.
So Jim, we're going to go out, we're going to vote on this on the 26th of August?
In 2 weeks. Yep.
Contract documents are going to be ready the next morning?
Or this
is going to have to be revised?
The only thing that has to be revised in here is the legal notice.
That's
So
what
I
I'm
went
asking.
over that with Ann, so I'll have that finalized tomorrow. I'll get up to Insight. So I'll send you guys the new legal notice, and I'll also send it to Ann and have her double check it also.
It doesn't affect the bid. The authorizer, if you authorize on the 26th, they can do the legal notice after that too.
Yeah.
So as long as you give him the authorization to go out.
So Jimmy, when can they be picked up at the town clerk? What date?
That would be on September 3rd.
All right. And are you going to give us, I'll just come to your office. I just want to look through that. I just want to make sure that everything is out that says irrigation and it's actually,
Yep.
this.
Well, I'll send you tomorrow after I get it revised. I already told Insight yesterday.
Yeah.
So they were making the revisions. We're just holding off on the final version until we have all dates. 'Cause I just want to make sure that the 26th
Okay.
was good for voting. Because that, it's like a domino effect for all the other dates we have to change here. So once we're set there, we'll have to go through the bid packet for the pre-bid meeting. Will have to be changed. That was, I think, on like September 3rd, or sometime in September, we'll have to be pushed back a couple weeks. So I'll go through all that and get that taken care of when it's at engineering.
The pre-bid meeting, Jim?
Yes, yeah.
That's the design drawings right there?
Right here, yeah.
Okay.
I can leave this with you tonight if you like.
Yeah.
It's easier to read it than trying to see it on the computer.
Leave it.
Okay. And we have this money, obviously, is in our budget for the improvements to the airport park. So,
All right. Any status on the building?
no,
You said
just
building is
so
sealed
everybody's
for it?
aware, I sent you guys out a note, I think it was last week, or week before. The manufacturer of the building had a major fire. Our building was coming out the door that week. So we're still trying to get clarification on if it was inside the building, outside on a truck. The company is obviously, it's very chaotic down there right now. There was a holdup because of the whole COVID situation. They shut the plant down. So we're confident that if you just say the building was damaged through the fire, they have other manufacturing sites throughout the country. So they can get it back on the line to get it out to us. So MSA's got all their volunteers lined up. They're gonna start doing some paver work around, we're gonna do pervious pavers around the building. So they're gonna jump on that while they're waiting until the building comes
I
in.
went up there over the weekend, Jim, it's coming out nice.
Yeah,
They did a great job. They really did.
Amity Construction did an outstanding job.
It's
They, on the golf
fantastic.
course, all the way through to our park.
Yeah.
It looks better than when they started. They really did a nice job. They're gonna hydro seed any disturbed areas tomorrow, on Thursday. So hopefully we'll get that grass growing and it'll all be,
But Jimmy, if you
ready.
hydro seed, I mean, what about the water? You guys can go on a system now with the
Well, they
water?
have to, they're gonna hydro seed the golf course,
Mhm.
any disturbed areas through the golf course and along the entrance road to the airport park.
Okay.
They came in on the right side of that road,
Mhm.
and then down around the septic area and around the building, those areas are disturbed.
Okay.
So, they'll spray the seed
Right, they
fertilizer and the
spray it.
stabilizer
Yeah.
down. So that'll give a quick germination. We hopefully can start irrigating next week.
Okay.
So we did have some brownouts during the summer with this heat and lack of rain, but it's been
Yeah.
starting to come back a little bit. It's getting greener, but once we get the water on it, we're really gonna get some nice growth.
When do you expect they're gonna charge the irrigation system?
Next week.
Next week?
We're really, Amity has an electrical contractor that they're working with, and obviously with the last week or so, they've been tied up with some other jobs, so they were pulled off of our job to take care of some electrical issues that they had. So they're coming on site on Monday and Tuesday. So we should be ready to roll.
All right. Anybody have further for Jimmy?
Nope,
Mike?
thank you, Jimmy.
And then you guys, has anybody seen the benches down in the Red Mills Park?
Oh, it looks so
Yeah,
great.
that was Joe Link's son.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so when you go
Eagle
to
Scout
the
project?
Eagle Scout ceremony, you're gonna find out where that wood came from. It actually was the pylons for the old Tappan Zee Bridge. A mill upstate took all the wood, and then they milled it. It's, I think it's a hemlock, if I'm not mistaken. It'll last for a beautiful wood. And the park, every time I drive by, there's a family or two down there sitting,
Yeah.
having a picnic in the
Really,
park.
really nice.
Yeah.
And they did a nice concrete pad underneath them with a stone top on that, and they
You did
seeded
a
around it.
very nice job.
Excellent job.
Great work.
Yep.
Really good.
Nice addition to that park.
There's an Eagle Scout Court of Honor ceremony, I think, this weekend?
The 22nd.
For the
22nd.
the Gaga pit?
Yes, yep.
And you had there was one a couple weeks ago for Davis.
Yeah,
Grimm.
for
He
the
did
retaining walls around the
outside-
building.
Outside your building.
Yep.
Davis Grimm?
Davis Grimm, yeah, we had his eagle on the 1st,
Yeah.
and the other one is on the 22nd.
Yep, and we have another Eagle Scout,
The day before the,
Yeah.
we have another Eagle Scout coming in front of the Recreation Committee tomorrow evening, proposing all the projects, so. We have, I mean, it's unbelievable how much work that the kids do. They do a great
No, they
job.
do a lot. Yeah.
Well, when I speak at them, I tell them we appreciate the free labor
Yeah, yeah.
and the really improvements that they've made
Oh, yeah.
to our
Outstanding.
town and to the parks. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Jim.
You got it.
All right.
Thank you, Jim.
Thanks, Jimmy.
All right, next, Mike Carnazza, Building and Codes. Consider request to accept proposal for property maintenance cleanup. Hey, Mike. How are you? Good.
We have,
I hope one of these is Wixon Pond.
It is.
Yes.
It
Okay,
is.
all right.
It is.
Good.
Wixon Pond is one, and Longdale Road is another. They were both issues we've been having. Longdale, we've actually done once before.
Hey, Mike, just put this by you for the people at home.
Sorry, we've done the Longdale Road one before. We're gonna do it now, and I'm sure I'll be coming back one more time before fall to get one more mowing before the winter comes. So we're gonna need to do that. And Wixon Pond has been an issue that's been ongoing in court for, I want to say 3-4 years.
Is it both bank-owned properties already?
It is, one is bank-owned, one is not. I believe the wife ended up in a nursing home and the husband passed away. So it's nobody there, it just fell, I mean, there's a vehicle in the driveway, it doesn't look terrible, the vehicle, so that's not being removed yet, but the one on Wixon Pond, there is actually a vehicle that has to be removed, there's a tree that fell down. I'm hoping no more fell down since the last storm, because that had obviously be an issue, but hopefully, with this bid, we'll get the one down that fell down already cleaned up, so.
So, Mike, I just have a question on the cover sheet. The low bid for Longdale was $250, right, from certified, and then it was $1,250 for Wixon Pond, right? I'm confused.
I
like,
apologize,
it
yes.
says-
Thank you.
Or,
I wrote the 400 from the vehicle on the other one.
so actually, no, because if they're removing the abandoned vehicle, it is
It's
$1,650.
$1,650.
So then you just have to change Longdale to $250. Okay. Right?
Yep,
Okay,
I added the 4 from the vehicle.
yep.
Sorry.
Okay.
Thank you for catching that.
Yeah. No,
All right, any questions, comments for Mike on this one? These have to get done. The
No,
Wixon
yeah,
Pond House
thank
property
you.
is a disaster.
Disaster.
It's horrible.
And the other one is just overgrown again.
There's a huge tree down
Yeah,
on
the
the
pine.
Wixon Pond property?
Yep, the
Is
pine.
that included in this number?
It is.
All
The
right.
tree is to be
Yeah.
cut, stacked neatly, so.
Okay.
Or removed. They can remove it if they want, but they're not going to remove it because it's pine. They don't want it.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Have a good night.
Next, consider additions, deletions to the active list of the Mahopac Volunteer Fire Department. There's a memo here from the fire department. They are requesting that we add to the rolls. As added the rolls, we would respectfully request to add the following names: Vladimir Carper of Mahopac, New York. That's one name, and the second page is Mahopac Fire Department has added the following persons to the roll. We respectfully request to add the following: Joseph P. Nicashir of Mahopac, Ryan Kick of Mahopac. If you could also remove from the records due to resignations, Ashley Belkovic and Robert Lewis. So they're adding 3 and 2 resign. So they're +1. All right? Any questions, comments on this one?
Nope.
Okay. Next is 6, Mike Simone, Highway Superintendent. Consider request to authorize donation of vacation time. Mike?
Good evening, Board. And again, this is in conjunction with one of my newer employees who is not covered under the collective bargaining agreement and has run out of time and is being donated time by another union member so that he does not lose his paycheck, so.
Okay. Mike, you think he's going to need any more time?
I don't think so. I believe he's
think this will
about
cover it?
way on his back end, so, yes.
Okay.
Yep, so.
All right, great.
That's good.
All right.
Yep.
That's good that his coworkers are doing this.
Yeah, again,
Fantastic.
a great bunch of guys there, so, you know,
Yeah,
so,
you do, for sure.
Yep. definitely.
Okay. Any questions for Mike on this one?
Nope, thank
Okay,
you.
good. So, Mike, number 7, Highway Superintendent, consider request to amend vehicle and traffic law, Cherry Street, no parking.
Well, it's 3 items, really. It's not just one. We had discussed this earlier. I had sent a memo to the board because I believe there's 3 items that we need to do this. We usually do this once a year or twice a year. We either do it in August, and then we try to do it in the wintertime so that we can get time to have these, have our public hearings and then get our markings in the ground and everything we need to do to get up. The first one is Cherry Lane, and I know the supervisor and the town attorney had authorized a stakeout, so I finally have the true road width of Cherry Lane. And this is something that really has been in the works or been talking about for quite a long time. I have been asking for it for probably at least 5 to 6 years, but truly this goes back to Norman Marino, and it was Norman's idea. I have to give him kudos for this because it was really a great idea back in '02, '03. Now even more so with the more traffic downtown. I don't know if you've been out there, but it has been marked. We have a street width of 24 feet. That's what the town owns. Our code, minimum road width, is 25. So this doesn't even meet our minimum road code. So I am still suggesting this be a one-way street. And I'm still suggesting it's a one-way street coming off of 6, because it makes sense. Coming off of 6, they then, anyone coming from either east to west or west to east can then access the 6 end stores. With that, with some idea of configuration, we might be able to get a 12-foot lane and maybe 12 foot of parking on the sides. But I would suggest it only be on one side. But I truly believe that this should be a one-way street.
You said it's 24 feet, Mike?
24 feet wide, yep. And it's all marked out in green paint, you can see it.
Yeah, I saw
Yep.
that.
Yeah.
Now, is there any room to get another foot?
No, that's what we own. Unless,
I know,
unless
but
you're gonna
can't you-
condemn it or
No,
take it
but
from
can't-
the property owners, but that's all you have.
But isn't there a thing like from the middle of the
No.
road you get?
No, no, no. That is rule of thumb, as we say at the highway department.
Yeah.
But that's why I needed an actual footage. Most of our roads that are, been adopted, I would say since the 70s on, are 50 feet wide right-of-ways. Prior to the adoption of this, there really was, they had a code of 3 rods, which is 49 and a half feet.
Okay.
But it wasn't always that way. In 1963, New York State said to all town highway superintendents in the state, if you have roads you want to adopt and that you are maintaining, we will help you, just put them forth. Well, not all of them were, they met criteria. They didn't have to at that time.
Right.
So,
right, but now, so, with the, if, because I know like, my thing, my issue right now is that we're doing a whole downtown revitalization, and I just want to make sure that this plays into it. I want to make sure that, Jeff Quintalmo is doing the downtown, right?
Mhm, yes.
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 Right?
Yeah.
And then Bonnie, that everybody knows this. Do you know what I'm saying? Because
I hear you, but,
everyone has to be on the same
but whether
page.
revital or not, you need to address this road.
Oh, no, I know we do, but.
I mean,
but-
and by now, by making it clear cut that it's a one-way, they know how to deal with it.
Yeah, because I also, so wait a minute, if it's going from 6 to 6N, I mean, I mean, you're the highway superintendent, something has to be done, because it's very unsafe.
It's an absolute-
It just is, I
Kenny.
mean, you can't make a right onto it. But if you do the one way, and then this here is the parking, you're saying, like possibly like, are you saying this here?
I don't know, this is the first
would-
time I'm seeing this.
No, that
Oh,
was,
would this possibly be the,
that would be, no,
The
that yellow
parking?
shaded area
yeah,
would be no parking on that side of the street.
So the other side.
so.
The side that's shaded in yellow.
I don't, this is the first time I've ever seen it. I have no
Oh,
idea what this
yeah,
is
me too.
depicting.
That's why
I don't
I'm
have no
trying to
idea what it's
figure this
depicting.
out.
This was given to me today
I
by the
think-
engineering department.
I think we're jumping the gun on the big picture.
Yeah,
I agree with Mike 100%. It's a one-way street. I agree with you as all, there's no parking. Until that municipal parking lot is built, if you take any parking away from any more that we have downtown, we're going to take out the angle parking. Until we're a year away from bids being approved or bids, I figure we're a year, 18 months away. Mike's right, this goes back to giving Norman credit on this, all right? But this is part of the, you can't stop the parking there
You see how they're
before the
parking?
parking,
You see how they're parking though?
I see how they're parking.
They're parking perpendicular
okay,
to the
so
building.
what are you going, well, I see that.
That's the
Yeah,
problem.
That just
you can't-
started.
Oh, no, that's been years.
yeah,
That's like
that's.
that?
Years
Yeah,
happening.
that's
Well-
been-
They're nosing in.
Put a
Yeah.
sign like that and let them give tickets, but again, you're dealing with summertime with downtown and the lake, and, there's this misconception here, here's an example. Blue, okay, all the cars on the road on Blue. Yeah, Friday, Saturday night, I'll buy that, they're there for dinner at Blue. But during the week, when there are cars on the road, Blue's parking lot's not full. There's a little strip of land next to Blue that the people up on the hill have, and there's nowhere to park. They park there and they walk down. So you have a lot of spots around the lake that I think, until that municipal lot is done, I agree the parking now is out of control, but, and I agree it should be one way. I just say, put up a couple signs up now, let them enforce it, but before we decide on which way the traffic flows, let's wait till the traffic signal is up in the middle of town. Let's see how it affects the people coming out of the bank and out of the park and out of the new parking lot, and then make that decision. I truly think we're just jumping the gun, although I agree with everybody here. We're just jumping the gun on it.
What about
Yeah, and
making
Mike-
Problem
designated?
right now is the parking
It looks,
with 3 or 4 cars there. Put a couple of signs up over there, enforce it, and then we'll reevaluate it when we take out the angle parking and look at the whole structure of the downtown movement.
So Mike, when,
looks-
if you can, when you look at this, because I know you said that possibly you can get parking in there also, if it's one
With-
way.
Right. I got 24
So-
feet, so if I got 12-foot lane,
Yeah,
which
so-
is pretty
so
wide
that's
for,
kind of like a-
that'll accommodate a truck.
Yeah, and that's kind of like what I'd like to see instead of just, just doing everything like really fast. Let's, make it one way. Like, let's make a plan. If it is one way, then we can pick up more parking, but safely pick it up. You know what I'm saying? Like, if somebody can make a plan, because like I said, we just all got this, so it's hard to make a decision right now.
what,
But
Is
if
there
you
any-
do parallel parking on one side of it and make it one way, that's something to discuss. But I agree, something has to be done now. But I just think
Well, I
that
think-
until we have everything, it should
No,
be no
can we
parking.
designate parking
Short
spots?
term or no
Parking
parking
areas?
spots.
Short term, you could create no parking on that side.
Or designate parking areas?
Yeah.
Parking spots and stripe
Right.
them out?
Right.
And then
Right-
put yellow
right
where
now
you can't
they're-
park.
Right now, they're parking,
You would have to change your V&T.
right, you'd have to
You-
amend the V&T code.
it
For-
seems
for
to
any
me
of
that
So
there's a
I want to see if you do not make it one way, and you have parking marked out there.
You can't have
how are you
parking.
how are you gonna have two-way traffic
You
if you don't
can't.
amend it into a one-way
It's
traffic?
no
It makes no
parking.
sense.
They won't
Like, there
pass, they won't
is no
pass each other on
parking.
the street.
I don't know,
With the
I'm
car
just,
parked there.
he did. Yeah,
No, Mike didn't say that, I think Bob did.
Yeah, there's no
There's
parking
no
with,
parking on
with,
that one side. on the
There's no
east-
parking at
On the
all.
east side. The east side of Cherry Lane should be
Right.
no parking at all, from 6 to 6 N.
With
None.
with two-way traffic?
with two-way traffic,
If you.
presently.
If you create no parking on the east side of Cherry Lane, that eliminates a big part of your problem.
No, in honesty,
You're not
it's
gonna
24
eliminate-
feet wide. You have to have no parking on Cherry Lane.
You're not,
both sides.
you're not going to eliminate any problem until you curb Cherry Lane
Right.
and flow to traffic. As long as you have no curbs, the length of Cherry Lane, you have a mess.
I agree.
well, it's a mess now.
Right,
I
but
mean, it's a
don't
mess
you
now.
think if we put up no
And we're
I'm
jumping the
saying
gun.
no parking at all on Cherry Lane, that it will make it safer for the two-way traffic?
100%.
Yeah,
But
I
you're
mean, in the
chang- but-
interim,
Right,
I
but
believe it has to be one way as well, but just,
if you're going to tell me that you're going to change the V&T and have no parking on Cherry Lane at all allowed, that's enforceable, certainly can. But I still think that we need to do, I mean, if you,
I
eventually,
agree with
yeah.
you too, but
Yeah, I mean,
we just need a better plan.
better-
Like, we
right.
just need a better plan than, and
There should be no.
I need a little bit more time to look at it than 20 minutes.
Right, because Isaac's, everybody knows where Isaac's garage is, right?
Yep.
His property runs right into the street,
Yeah,
right into the street.
there has to be
So if
curbs.
you look at the green marks that were put out there the other day, they go
Mm-hmm.
right through.
Yeah, he owns part of the street.
He owns part of the street.
Right.
So, that's, it. So you can't put curbs there, right? You can't,
He has entrances in there now.
he's got to be able to get in and out of his,
No, but eventually, when it's one way,
Well,
you're going to have to
again,
put. you're gonna
eventually
have to
what
put
I would do,
curbs.
and I would not put up curbs, I know here, Councilman Borelli, very much so. I would do markings. I would do paint markings to make sure that everybody understands the way they gotta go. Whether
But-
they're
but-
big arrows, big white lines on the side,
But I can tell you what's going to happen, Mike. With a 24-foot wide thing, we're going to mark this yellow, we're going to paint it, we're going to put up signs, it's one way, and people are still going to park there.
but if it's one way, if it's one way, we're gonna allow parking.
You can have
It doesn't
parking.
matter.
we'll allow.
If it's one way, we can allow
We're gonna
parking.
create
Can't
parking.
get two cars
But
by
with
one
no
parking.
curbs, I
With
think.
no curb.
But see, but to me, that's part of, and this was part of the beautification down there. This is for another discussion.
Okay.
You need curbs.
Well, listen, again, I have not seen any plans as what to being done down there at all. I don't know if you're going to do new sidewalks in town, if you're going to do
And
new
that's
curb.
why I'm
I have
saying
not a
this is-
clue.
This is,
I haven't been
Yeah.
asked to weigh in on any of it. I think I should be. I think I know a
Yeah.
little bit about a highway. But I have not seen anything, so.
Yeah, the curbs, I agree with you, Mike.
Can't
I don't
have no
think-
curbs.
I don't think we need to put curbs out there, because the
No, I
problem
do.
is, if you put the curbs on our property, you're gonna have a gap between where the curb is and where the building is, probably of about 1.5 feet, maybe 2 feet. So you're gonna have a curb, then a space, a gap, and then the building.
let's the consultants weigh in on that, because this absolutely looks horrendous. No curbs. But we'll let the consultants weigh in on it.
You can't put a curb on that side, sir. You can't curb this side at all.
No,
This
no,
is-
we
This
can-
is this gentleman's property, goes right up to our road. If you put a curb there, you're cutting off access to his property.
We'll discuss it.
Can you put a section of curb and then cut it for his entrance and exit into his place? I'm just saying, I mean, I haven't studied it
You're
well
gonna-
enough, but
Sidewalks
if you
work
wanted
on the
to.
other side, you jumping the gun.
Yeah,
Until the designer comes through with the sidewalk proposal, there should be a sidewalk around the Chinese restaurant out to Route 6. You jump in the gun. Do whatever you want, but you jump in the gun.
Yeah.
We're sitting here discussing something
Okay,
that's in
but
a master...
wait a second,
that-
but we're in agreement that we should probably post no parking on the.
Okay, so let's
right
post the no parking signs and
For right
move,
now.
Yeah.
move along
All right,
on either side.
on the one side, the east side. right?
Well,
Is that what you're saying?
He said both.
Well, both.
both sides.
Well, both is really good, the both.
Otherwise, you're going to block Isaac and block, again, I literally own from concrete to concrete, but it's only 24 feet wide. So you can't put any parking there. It's got to be no parking at all
Parking.
if it's two-way traffic.
You have a local law.
So where the dry cleaner is.
No parking. I own to his concrete.
Has anybody looked at the pictures on the 3 bids we had for the downtown revitalization?
Yep.
Yeah.
Everyone showed an idea for Cherry Lane. Why are we beating this horse? Put the no parking signs up temporarily until we're done with the downtown revitalization, and let's move on.
Yeah, no parking.
You have a local law from 2014 for that exact
Let me
purpose.
just say.
We had it done.
no, I've never seen cars parallel park on the,
Because the lake has never been used to the amount of the lake's being used this year.
let me finish, Mike. On Isaac's side of Cherry Lane, cars don't parallel park there.
Because the lake is being overly used this year because everybody was cooped up for 4 months. That's why you have the traffic problem around the lake. We all acknowledge the lake is overused this year. There's day dropping of boats that are mind-boggling, that are actually using the library as a parking spot for their trailers, which I think is ridiculous, that's allowed. So, this is not a normal year. We're working on downtown revitalization, it's 10 o'clock at night, we're spending a half an hour on this subject, that is, I'll stay here till 11 o'clock, I don't care.
Mike's got two other parking requests, no parking requests. So when we do all 3 of these, when we do them, can we include Cherry Lane for no?
I have that law from 5 years ago. We
Okay.
got it to a public
Okay,
hearing,
to a public
it
hearing.
died. But, all you're gonna do is renotice a new public hearing for
Right.
the V&T changes. That'll be in it, and you can adopt it, if you adopt it with, with that change, or with the other two, or one of the 3, or
Do all
not.
3 public hearings on the same night?
It's
Until
gonna
we
be
do the
V&T
redevelopment.
V&T changes.
But you should be part of that whole
He
thing.
definitely should.
I don't know how you're not.
We'll
So
call Jack.
we'll make sure you're included in that.
Okay.
All right.
The next one is, number 2 is Rockledge Place. As we all know, Vista Terrace area, and this is one of the roads in Vista Terrace, has gone through extensive water improvements and now extensive drainage improvements. And later this month, I will be paving all of the roads in the Vista area. I think there's 9 of them in total, and I will be doing each one. But in truly going over this, Rockledge Place at its narrowest is 14 feet, and at its widest is 17 feet. So what I'm asking for is a one-way coming down Rockledge from Sycamore to Westlake Boulevard,
Exiting onto.
onto Westlake Boulevard. If you come down Rockledge now, you can turn off to Sycamore and go off if you want to, or if you, but you cannot go up. And there's only 2 homes or 3 homes. There's only 3 homes that are there. And with the new roads being paved inside Vista, what I'm suggesting is those homes with the new roads, they come up Vista, go down Rockledge to enter their homes. When they leave it in the morning or night, they go right out down Rockledge and out onto Westlake Boulevard. I mean, again, the width of these roads is going to, as I've been told by the residents, if a school bus comes up, they can't have a car come. If a garbage truck goes up, they can't have a car go. So this is something that's, again, long needed to be done.
So the residents on the lower end of Rockledge?
Yes.
When they come home, or whenever they're coming back to their house?
Right.
From, let's say, 6N?
Right.
They're gonna.
Go up Vista.
Go up Vista, go around.
Come right
turn
down
onto
Rockledge. Pull in their house.
Pull in the house.
Yep.
And when they leave, they just go out to.
Rockledge and- yep.
Rockledge and turn on
Westlake.
Westlake.
Yep.
And there's 3 homes there, Mike?
I think there's 3,
I'll go look at it.
2 of them have circular driveways.
Okay.
And 1 has a single driveway. So that's all it affects.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks, Mike.
Okay, and the last one is we talked about this mud pond also down here.
Yeah.
And again, I'll agree that COVID has created a lot of problems here, but this has become an absolute nightmare.
Yeah.
And I'd love to see us, if we're going to put up no parking, I'd also like to say, there is parking at Mount Hope.
Mount Hope.
And you get on the bike trail there.
And please,
Yeah.
please go access it. It's underused, it's empty, it needs to be,
I've understood
Yeah.
when.
I use that for Joe Smith parking lot. Please don't.
Well, whatever, but it's rarely ever used.
That's what I use
So
it for.
during the day,
For the parade.
Yeah.
there's nobody there. That's,
So
so,
maybe we should get a sign made like that and put up the no parking
I think there
signs,
is a
but
sign
put
that
a
says
sign
parking.
that says,
Somebody actually put a sign out there, no boat trailers. I don't know if you saw that or not.
Well, there should be boat trailers in there.
Because that's where they're parking their boat trailers now, too, and it's.
okay. But again, I think we have to, at least one side of Mud Pond, have no parking at all, and that be the Scalfani
For safety.
and the water plant side, so.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which
So,
side, Mike?
The Scalfani.
Scalfani side?
Yep, and water plant
The water
side.
plant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this way, because now they're poking on both sides, and literally, if they open their doors, I'm going down there, and we have done extensive drainage work in Lake Cassie this year, and I'm telling you, our trucks nothing can get through because people are taking bikes, so, it's really, carriages out of, and I'm like, man, this is right in the middle of the road, so.
You got
Yeah.
that, Greg? All right,
perfect.
all right,
That's all I have for V&T.
all right. Thanks, Mike. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, one big public hearing,
Thanks,
right,
Mike.
on all of them.
Good night.
Huh? All right. You still here?
I'll make it really, really quick. I want to go home too. So first I want to start with addressing the issue of a sitting Putnam County legislator, okay, that we heard about was perhaps hired by our highway department for one day. Going forward, I urge our town board to make sure something like this does not happen, hasn't happened. I don't know if you want to make comments on it, but I just want to kind of zip through this. I was perturbed. I think a lot of people were. I don't really know what happened, if it was alleged or not, but it concerns the taxpayer because if people are just, willy-nilly hiring without any kind of approval, and like you were talking about, I commend the town board. I know that you had the audit from DiNapoli, and now you're adjusting, the procurement policy, and that's terrific, so thank you for that. But this kind of goes hand in hand with that.
You
Okay,
should
that
know,
there
though,
should
we
be
have no
two set of
control
eyes.
over that.
I'm sorry?
You should know, and the public should know, we have no control over that.
Nothing you can do, no resolution, nothing you can do. Okay. That's unfortunate, but I would ask for better behavior, doing our best going forward. The other thing is, In regards to that particular legislator, can you keep us apprised of the legal costs the town is incurring in that lawsuit? Is there something you can do about that? I'm concerned about that.
That's covered litigation.
It's confidential?
I take it back, it's not covered. But it may end up being covered.
Right.
But yeah, I mean,
I'm sure that will come out, but that's just something that people are concerned about as well.
that's right, but it may be.
Goes again to procurement. Back in February or March, you discussed competitive bidding, that we have such a tough time getting it. And I know that, Ken, you recommended Bob perhaps contact Yorktown. Any news on that front as how Yorktown gets better bidding than we do, or more competitive, or just more bidding, or any bidding?
We've actually, the recent projects, Gene, that went out to bid.
Yeah.
We received multiple bidders on them. I think for the airport project, we had 10 or 12 bidders for that. And there was another, the project in town, the extension of the sewer main, we had eight or 10 bidders come back on that
Okay.
too.
So
whatever we're doing now,
The atmosphere in Carmel has changed. There's more interest in
there's a
bidding
lot
now.
more interest.
A lot more interest in bidding.
I wonder if it's the pandemic. I wonder if people are, whatever it is. Okay, so we'll just be aggressive with that and let us know what you want to share with us on that. I just want to go real fast. So on agenda number 3, Jim Gilchrist, the park. I know that it was originally at 2.2. That's the budget that we're working on. So all these new proposals that are coming out, that he wants to do another bid package, is that within that 2.5 or 2.2 million?
Yes.
Okay. I would also, pumping a septic uphill, I would really, Mike, you're in building. That's it.
I can't hear you.
Pumping a septic uphill. There's no other way they can do that to alleviate pumping uphill? My brother-in-law has uphill. I'll tell you what a
That's what I
nightmare that
have.
is.
It depends on the topo of the land and where the building is located.
And they didn't have that in the plan, in the spec before they did the job? Okay,
Well,
that's
they
just a
have to include a
disappointment.
generator in that, too.
It's not unusual.
No, I know it's done. It's not great.
It's
It's
not
not-
unusual. Sometimes it's better.
It's not great,
If you can
okay.
get to better land, sometimes it's better.
If you use a grinder pump, there's a grinder pump.
No, I know.
And it forces it.
I understand that, but
okay.
a regular septic doesn't require any of that. It's all gravity, okay?
Right.
There's no electric, there's no pumping, there's no parts. So if it can be avoided in a public project where there's no cost initially and down the road, that's all. I was just concerned about that. I think that's, the procurement policy updates or whatever, is that available to the public? What the young lady had today? Where is
I
that?
think it was
It's online.
It's on the website.
It's online on the
It should be
website?
on the
Yeah, if you
website.
go on the,
Yeah.
it's part of the backup for tonight's meeting.
Okay, I'll look for that. I had a problem, I think, because it was so big. I think,
Yeah, there was 740 pages.
yeah, maybe
why
that's,
it was condensed and condensed.
I have a cheap laptop, it wasn't uploading for me. Okay, that's it, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thanks, Jane.
thank you. Is there anybody else? Mr. Hopper? No? Okay. All right. You have a couple?
Yeah, first, I just wanted to congratulate our newest Eagle Scout, Davis Grimm, who had his Eagle Scout ceremony on Saturday, August 1st, at Grace Lutheran Church. He did, like we discussed earlier, a project at Sycamore Park to beautify that. In a couple of weeks, we're going to have another young man from Mayapack, Thomas Matta, on the 22nd, so we'll have his Eagle Scout ceremony for that. I want to thank many of the organizations who helped give out dry ice and water, and I know that the board did as well, the Knights of Columbus did as well. So I want to thank them all for helping out their neighbors, but I had this, when did you cancel Halloween? What was that?
No,
That was,
3
was
years
that
ago?
Sandy?
no, that was during Sandy.
11 and 12.
Whenever that, it was earlier, I think, Mike. Yeah, it was, and anyway, yeah.
Oh, before Sandy.
Right, and at that time, I had made some comments while here in public comment that NYSEG needed to do a better job with their tree removal, with their planning, and I got a call from a friend of yours, Kenny, who was retired from NYSEG, who yelled and screamed at me, but at the end of the day, he acknowledged that I was correct. There's gonna, after the last storm and now again with this storm coming, the state legislature is having a joint session to investigate the preparedness of NYSEG, and again, it's not going anywhere, all right? So what I'm gonna suggest is, and it's gonna cost a lot of money, but not to us, but to NYSEG is a monopoly that is given out by the state. I know, that's okay, but I'm gonna say it, it's fine. Some of the lines, especially some of the lines on the main corridor of 6, at least in the business area, need to be put underground. And whether we, listen, I understand, but at some point, the cost, but listen, I'm not saying, listen, we can't possibly put the whole town underground, right? But the main corridors where the gas lines were ridiculous, and I gotta commend the gas stations in town who actually had the generators. Their prices stayed exactly the same, even though there was only 2 or 3 of them in the entire town. And they were very cooperative, they directed traffic, they helped out people who came with a credit card, like somebody who didn't have cash, because I wasn't expecting it, and I brought the guy back money the next day. But in any event, there needs to be looked at putting some of these power lines underground, whether when we do the sewer system, it just,
Frank, that's
Frank,
my
I-
opinion. That's never,
Frank,
I would love that. That's never going to happen in our lifetime.
But
The
I-
bottom line is the same old story. In the last 12 years, since NYSEG was sold to a Spanish company on foreign soil, they have decimated their company to the point where they don't even have the same accurate bill every month. They have an estimated bill now every other month. Okay? Until they revoke their license and Cuomo does his job, we're going to have the same crap over and over and over.
And Frank,
I said my piece.
Yeah, I actually brought that up many years ago about putting it underground. And what I was told at that time is that that's not going to alleviate people going out from power. Because if a pole hits where the transformer or something is, you're still losing power.
right?
So even up in town, it was shut down, but they had the poles underneath. I mean, I did it more, and it's bad to say, I did it more for aesthetics. You look at the town up there in the hamlet of Carmel, it's beautiful. You know why? Their poles are underground.
Yep.
Okay? But when we approached, one, it was the money, two, it was like, it's not gonna, it will help, but it's not gonna stop people from not having power.
Does anybody think I'm wrong?
Yes.
I'm not saying
Okay.
you're wrong.
No.
I'm just saying,
what I'm
like,
saying is,
we've already.
we all agree that that's probably the best thing to do. However, you're right, it's the cost.
cost
But
prohibitive.
the fact of the matter is,
And the false,
they're given a monopoly, New York
And
State
it's
has given
also
them a monopoly,
false
and they
that
need to
you're
do a
gonna
better
have power, and
job
that's not
with
the
regard
case.
to preparations for
the
storms.
the
And
problem-
Kenny, how difficult was it for you to get dry ice and water on the first day? There wasn't enough.
Wasn't enough to go
Well, you know,
around.
the storm was coming, and, you know, we tried to take care of the residents of Carmel as best as we could.
They could have ordered that dry ice a week before the storm hit.
And it all
should've.
comes
Yeah.
down to one word, NYSEG.
Yep.
That's the
Okay.
problem.
So could we
I just
adjourn
need
with
to
that?
say this, and I should have said it earlier, but for the first time, it's 20 years as a highway superintendent, I penned a letter today to New York State Gas and Electric, to the crews that they sent to this town, and I commended them for what they did with my men. We had 120 trees down. We had 48 of them in wires and taking out poles.
Yeah.
Tuesday at 3 p.m., the storm hit. By Friday at 12 o'clock, all our roads were open and clear and safe.
Yeah.
That is tremendous to think about what they did in that short time. So,
Yeah.
No, again,
And
and
people
it's,
need-
the workers, the employees from NYSEG, the independent contractors that they hired were phenomenal. But this is not about.
but it was coordinated well this time. I'm just saying, you could be frustrated being out 2 days, but in this size of storm, and I've seen it in the past where I would never even think about it, because we went for 7, 8 days.
Yeah.
In 2.5 days, we had all these roads open in the town of Carmel.
Yeah.
That's 525 roads. You know, it's amazing to see these guys working when it's well coordinated. And I have to, and I penned this letter because of one who was a local guy who coordinated well and happens to be a relative of a board member who did a tremendous job at getting me the resources I needed to keep these roads open.
No, that's great.
So,
Yeah.
How many make-safe crews did you have from NYSEG? Did you have 2?
again, You know, what was funny? The county emergency management operations kept on saying, how many make-safe crews do you need? I said, what's a make-safe crew? Is it a guy in a car telling me if it's on or off? No, I need bucket trucks with linemen and cutters who can also assist me. That's what I need, and that's what I got. So I don't know what a make-safe crew is, but it certainly isn't what I got is what I call a make-safe crew.
bucket truck.
I had bucket trucks, guys that could tell me if it was hot or not, and repair lines after they got through, so.
That's exactly what's needed.
Which was great.
Yeah, no, that was great. And by the way, Mike, I gave you guys kudos on social media. You guys did a great job.
Again, my men they worked around the clock for a couple days, and it was a grueling storm, but, you know, they got it done.
They busted their backsides,
Yeah.
and it was noticed.
It was noticed by the
It was
town.
noticed by a lot of people.
Yeah, thank you.
So,
Thank you.
Thanks,
Good
Mike.
job,
Great
thank
job.
you.
Thank you. All right. Anybody else have anything? I have one announcement. Bob, do you have anything? No. Susie? Okay. So I was asked to announce this evening. It's the prayer walk for our police officers that is being organized here in Mahopac, Carmel. Please join us for a prayer walk for our police officers. Sunday, August 23rd, 2020. Sign-in is at 12:30 p.m. to 1:15 p.m., and the walk time starts at 1:30. So it kicks off at 1:30. Everybody's meeting over at the Veterans Memorial on East Lake Boulevard, behind CVS and in front of McDonald Marina on East Lake Boulevard, and they're walking to the prayer garden on East Lake Boulevard over at St. John's. So it's masks are required, and everybody has to sign in. There's a form, there's a waiver that they're asking everybody to sign who's going to be participating in the walk. So again, it's Sunday, August 23rd. It's a prayer walk for our police officers, and from what I understand, it's going to be very well attended. There's a lot of folks who've already indicated that they're going to be there, and you know, we expect a big turnout. So I don't know, Dominic, if you could pull in on this just real quick, just for a couple of seconds. This is the poster, the flyer that's going around announcing the prayer walk for to support our police officers.
Kenny, I just wanted to thank Mary Ann Chaluzian, who put this together, along with her crew, Nicole, Mike, and Mike. There's a little committee that's organized it. My understanding is that there's text messages and phones beeping at 2 and 3 in the morning because a couple of them can't sleep, and they're relaying ideas about this all hours of the night, it was reported to me. So, but anyway, thank you again to them for organizing this. It's very well needed in light of the climate that we live in today.
Yep. Let's support our police officers, and anybody who can and wants to walk with us, be there August 23rd, 12:30 and 1:15, sign up, and then the walk starts at 1:30. All right, that's it. That's all we have.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Seconded. All right, seconded. Motion to adjourn by Susie, seconded by Councilman Shadow. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good night, everyone. Be well. We'll see you. Oh, we don't have no meeting next week. It is, we'll be back here on August 26th for a dual meeting, voting and work session. Good night.